Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Otts here, and it's Sunday morning. And I'm here for a Sunday special report. Today, we're talking about the NBA's new resting policies that they just announced this week. Very, very interesting stuff. There's been a problem over the years recently with resting too many superstars at important times, where people pay tickets to come and see games and they don't see hardly anybody. There's a lot of teams that are guilty of doing this. Some teams more in particular, and the NBA is just sick of this. People complain. It is part of the reason why the quality of the product of the NBA has gone down. Some people are saying it's because the season's too long, but they're wrong. The players are lazy, and it's dumb that this has gotten to this point that Adam Silver and the NBA have to do this. A lot of these players at the top that this affects hate this new rule and very privately have been really mad about it, talking about it with their agents and stuff like that. That speaks so much to the whole issue right there. That honestly, y'all get paid to play a sport, a game that's fun, and you don't have to work a whole lot. It's up to y'all to work out and do all that stuff on your own. But in some ways, y'all really have a light schedule, and load management is ridiculous. The generations from the 80s, the 90s, the 70s, years before would laugh at this whole issue with these pansies, the way they act about this right now. And our former guy Kawhi is the poster boy for this issue and part of the reason why they have to do this. So what is this resting policy that the NBA has come up with recently? Well, basically they want to ensure that teams show up and they play at least one superstar out of their superstars. The rules are real murky. They're not fair to everyone, and they have very specific things that they target and look at. You have to be an all-star. You have to have a certain amount of accolades to be in this category. They don't care about everyday players. They don't care about certain superstars because of age. We'll talk about that in a sec. They don't care about most of the league. It's only a very particular group that they're going to target with this year. Like 46 players are on the list that are eligible to be tracked because of this policy. Most of the players will not be tracked for this. And this is an instance where it really works out real nice for the Raptors. We have only one player on the 46 player list, and that is Pascal Siakam. Siakam is the only considered superstar on our team. Well, that means we don't have to really worry about this rule, because this rule really comes into effect most when you have two superstars. Like if you have Brown and Tatum, you can't rest them on the same night anymore. They are really going to force the Celtics to play one or the other every single night. And in our case, well, if you don't have two superstars, you can sit Pascal still. We may have to watch when we rest Pascal, but this isn't a problem because Siakam loves playing. He shows up and plays as much as possible. Sure, he'll get a load managed game somewhere near the end of the season, but I barely seen Siakam ever get load managed. Barely ever. So this really isn't a specific issue for us. In fact, this seems like this will cause dumpster fires for other teams and not likely ours. Now, if they start switching up who they consider as superstars, well, then maybe that could get a little weird. Scotty Barnes is not considered a superstar. OG is not considered a superstar. If Fred was still on our team, we might have had to deal with this year because Fred is on that list. And, the Rockets have to deal with that. There's some teams that have like three guys on this list. The Phoenix Suns in particular, with Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker. Those three guys, like, they're really going to have to work around this. In some ways, their three superstar system is going to backfire on them because the NBA has more chances to get on them for this resting policy. So in some ways, all right, y'all downgrading and sliding the Raptors and saying we don't have any superstars is working out in our favor right now. That's what I'm saying. If they're going to slide us, we might as well get all the perks and the positives from what happens. Well, we only have one superstar. Okay, we're not worried about this NBA resting policy. There are teams that are going to have a lot to worry about, like the Clippers. The Clippers and the Suns will have to worry about this. How are they going to manage this Paul George, Kawhi Leonard kind of stuff this season? Only one of y'all can sit and be lazy, Steve Ballmer tells them. You can't both sit every night. So yeah, it's going to be a dumpster fire for other teams to land in and pay fines and make newspaper articles and headlines about, oh, they did, the Suns didn't do this with Devin Booker and Bradley Beal the other night. Oh my gosh. So there's going to be some of this. And I don't think it'll mess with us. This is a case where the non-superstar teams, the teams that don't have any superstars or just one, really shouldn't have to worry about this too much. Now, if there's some weirdness about watching Siakam and when he's going to play and when he isn't, I'm not worried about that. Siakam's not a lazy superstar. He shows up every night, and if he's healthy, he will try and play. He'd much rather play than sit there healthy, a healthy scratch. He's not like those other guys. So that's it in a nutshell. There's some fine tuning kind of rules about it, rules about like, back to backs and different things. And then there's also the part about the older stars. There's few stars that are on the list as all stars, superstars, that are exempt from this still. And it's really the LeBron James rule. They didn't want LeBron. Maybe he rose up a stank right away. And LeBron's not happy with this new rule. You can't do this to him. And then Adam Silver's kind of like, he is kind of old. Let's make an old rule. So if they're older than 35 and they've played a certain amount of games already in their career, they can be exempt from this resting policy rule also. So and actually Kevin is exempt because of this. This rule made Kevin Durant exempt in the same way. So in some ways, Phoenix really does only have two guys that got to juggle, Bradley and Devin Booker. Yeah, it's a ridiculous policy in some ways, but it's necessary. And in some ways, we'll have to see how they do it, because it's not totally clear how they're going to do it and who's going to get in trouble for it and how. They said that some of the incidents from last year that would be investigated are things like when the Warriors would wholesale hold their starting lineup out in games and back-to-backs. There were a lot of games last year, including ones here in Toronto, where the Warriors will not send even their team across the border. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson don't show up. They get in trouble. They would be in trouble for how they've handled the Raptors games the last 2 years when they came to Toronto. They would be in trouble for that. They would also be trouble for the Dallas Mavericks last season for not playing people at the end of the season and trying to tank. They got in trouble for that already, but they definitely get in trouble this year for that. And there's some other situations where people can get in trouble with this new resting rule. But like I said, I think this is going to really affect certain teams mostly. Teams that have considered big twos or threes of superstars. And their stipulations for what makes a superstar has to do with all stars, all NBA, and stuff like that. So none of our guys qualify except for Siakam. So our slights and our not getting sunshine, or OG not being a real superstar has helped us in this situation. It's weird because they're posting stuff on NBA Central and other places about OG being at that thing with with Steph Curry and Trae Young recently working out. They talk about, well, these four superstars could be going to New York in the next couple of years. And they list Giannis, Joel, and OG is considered one of the four superstars that may be possibly going to New York in a trade. So they're kind of trying to put a superstar name on OG all of a sudden. It's very strange. I'm okay with it. I'd love for him to get more recognition, especially for his defensive stuff and getting Defensive Player of the Year for him. But in some ways, it's disingenuous that y'all are like, okay, he's not a superstar. He can't be a superstar. But now you're starting to come around on it when it's a detriment to have superstars on your team. Yeah, that's messed up. That's messed up, NBA media public, and the way you try and shape perception. It's messed up. Canadian Dana's first in. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to you, Dana. Good to see you. Tom Duke is here. Good morning, Lex and the Raptor Freak family. Do you think it was Adam Silver? It was Adam Silver that made the exception rule? Or is it the Players Association making sure not to upset old superstars? No, the players don't like this rule. This may be one of the parts of the collective bargaining agreement they didn't like, but they still agreed to it. There were a lot of perks and things that enticed the players to sign it. Things like being able to have their own companies and run businesses and do all kinds of different stuff. And a lot of freedom financially for the players all of a sudden in certain ways. But this is not one of the parts they like. They were very anti this. The Players Association is very anti this. And even in the press release in the last week about this, there's grumbling. And there's a lot of players that are worried about this. And they're also kind of like, this is messed up. Now, that's the thing. You become a superstar, all of a sudden you are subject to the NBA resting policy. It's only for superstars, it's not for everyday NBA players. This is for all stars and people that are golden boys in the NBA system and that they've ordained. So, in some ways, hey, doesn't really hurt us as much as the other teams because they ignore us and slight us. So we don't have but one superstar. And don't worry, he's a workaholic and somebody that shows up and puts his best effort no matter what. So you didn't make this rule for him anyway. So I'm not worried about it. They needed to make this. Seriously, it's been getting so bad with how people sit out. And there needs to be some rules to it. I mean, within reason, let people sit out in certain ways. Now, there's all kinds of provisions to get around. There's, if there is some sort of like injury, they can say it. Even, there's always a gray area with what is enough of an injury to make somebody sit out and what isn't. Some of the things they're trying to stop is players saying, I'm sore and I just don't want to play today. They're not really hurt. They're just kind of sore. That is such a wussy kind of thing because back in the day, these guys didn't say that. I'm sore. I can't play today. Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson. No, they went out there and played while they were sore and made themselves play. These guys are prima donnas. They are so babied. And, it's disgusting in some ways how some of the NBA players at this point they don't even care about basketball. They don't even care about the things that matter. They care about being lazy and the money, and that's what they care about. A lot of the NBA players these days. It sucks. But the real ones that really are there for the right reasons, well, we celebrate them. Yeah, G wants to see the list. You want to see the list of who's on this list? No, 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 no. ESPN has it somewhere. I know I saw it there. Um, I'm trying to think. Okay, the list is here. I can name them off real quick for you, G. Atlanta's got 2 stars. Trae Young and DeJounte Murray will be subjected to this. So you will not be able to see Trae Young rest when DeJounte's already resting if they're both load managing. But Ben Simmons is the only player for Brooklyn that falls under this. And that is even suspect in its own that he is on this list. How is he on this list? For it's a golden boy designation. Jason and Jalen, of course, are on it for Boston. That's going to be a big one that they're going to watch, but they've done a good job of balancing them over the years already. LaMelo's the only player for Charlotte. Chicago actually has 3 players: DeMar, Zach LaVine, and Nikola Vucevic. But the thing is, DeMar is exempt, just like LeBron and KD, because of his age and how much he has played. So they're going to have to juggle between LaVine and Vucevic. And in some ways, that seems silly because like those guys are on this list and other guys, like some of our guys aren't. I'm not going to be upset because we don't want to be on this list. But it sounds like the Bulls have a hard time and they don't even deserve it, honestly. Cleveland has 3 players on this list. I love that. Donovan, Jared Allen, and Darius Garland. Those 3 guys definitely need to be they're going to be watched about this. I don't know. They're young. They like to play. I'm not worried about them trying to load manage because they usually show up. Now, Luka and Kyrie need to be balanced in Dallas. I don't know if Kyrie has that special old age provision. Is he on that list? Let me make sure. The old age guys are LeBron, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, James Harden, DeMar DeRozan, and Mike Conley. Those are the guys who get the old age exemption for it. But I don't think Kyrie's name's on that list. So Dallas is going to have to do that Texas 2-step with Luka and Kyrie with the resting policy. Nikola Jokic is the only Denver Nugget champion that is on the list. No Jamal Murray. Once again, a slight towards a guy not being a superstar. Well, he doesn't have to deal with this rule because Jamal never made the All-Star game. So in some ways, it's a benefit that the NBA has overlooked these people. The Golden State Warriors have a lot of players on this list. In fact, they have 4. Steph Curry, Draymond, Andrew Wiggins, and Chris Paul. They don't even have Klay Thompson on here, which makes me laugh. And I like that. Klay Thompson shouldn't be on here. Steph Curry, Draymond and Andrew Wiggins. This may be a problem for them. Not gonna lie, this may be a problem for Golden State. They may be the one that messes up and gets in trouble with this. Golden State, the Clippers, and the Suns are the three teams that I think are gonna have the biggest problem with this new rule. And they're gonna break it. They're gonna break the new rule and they're gonna step in it. Watch. Fred is the only player for Houston that comes under this category. Tyrese Halliburton, the only player for Indiana. The Clippers have Kawhi and Paul George, of course, and those two are enough for them to have a headache with this policy. The Lakers have LeBron and Anthony Davis. But once again, LeBron has sought a special exemption on age, and he has gotten it. What King James wants, he gets. And a byproduct, a lot of these older guys that are around his age get it also. Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., two players for Memphis. Well, we know Ja's going to be out for a little while at the beginning of the season, but I don't see a problem with these guys unless Memphis is going to do some weird stuff now. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo are the two players from Miami. They're going to have to try and figure that out. Milwaukee has three players, and they could be a little bit of an issue. I don't know. Adrian Griffin probably get these guys out on the court. Giannis, Drew Holiday, and Chris Middleton all on the list. Minnesota's got four players, and this is kind of crazy that Minnesota's got four players on the list. Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, Mike Conley, and Anthony Edwards are all on there. Minnesota may have trouble juggling things around, especially with those two big men. Now, Mike Conley's exempt for the old age thing, but still, that could get hairy. I don't see Anthony Edwards being the issue, but I could see those two big men possibly needing to be out at different times and it making it hairy for them. Only one player for the New Orleans Pelicans, Zion Williamson. The New York Knicks only have one player, Julius Randle. That seems a little fishy. Oklahoma City, only SGA is on the list. Philadelphia has two players on the list, but one of them is exempt, and that is James Harden. And we don't know if he's going to show up there anyway. It'd be funny if James goes to the Clippers, and then all of a sudden he makes it harder for the Clippers to do their load management. That would be funny. So Joel is really the guy, but they're using Maxey as an example. They're saying if Maxey gets the All-Star game this year, he would go on the list, and then they'd have to start considering him that afterwards. It could very well be you could screw up a team in midseason by making the All-Star game, and all of a sudden Maxey's on the superstar list, and they can't load manage Joel and Maxey off each other the correct way anymore, the way they want to, because Maxey got superstar status, and he's on this list all of a sudden. So it really is whether you make the All-Star game or not. Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, three names for Phoenix. Like I said, that may be an issue there. These guys like to sit out, and they get lazy. Lillard, the only player for Portland, maybe not for long. And two players for Sacramento, De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis. Siakam, the only player for us. And then Markkanen, the only player for Utah. That's pretty much the list right there, G. The whole list right there. And my forecast, I think that there's a couple teams that are going to have a problem. The Warriors, the Clippers, the Suns, the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to have some issues because they have a lot of players on those teams. Crazy on that list. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying in the chat this morning. Hang on. No. Seymour Pape saying, good morning, everyone. Rolling up a big head right now. Well, all right. Get your Sunday started right, Seymour Pape. Love to hear it. Marlon Toby is here. Good to see Raptor Freak Marlon Toby. Is it just superstars, all-stars affected by this? Because to me, it may have a clause or two which maybe affect tanking teams with draft ambitions as well. We'll see, especially with the midseason tournament. Well, this is interesting. One of the rules is that they have to show up for the in-season tournament if they really don't want you to rest for those games. And then they're really taking a focus on the road games for Western teams in the East and Eastern teams in the West, because these teams only come through once a year. And it's like when the Lakers come here, well, they're going to really have to consider whether they're going to rest LeBron or not, although I've said he's exempt. That's the thing. They don't want people that paid hard-earned money to show up to the games and all of a sudden healthy scratches are happening of superstars that they came to see. This is really the main reason why. That people paid money to go to games, they griped, and too many of the Warriors weren't showing up. And they were like getting Warriors Team C. And, well, that looks bad. So is this to fix that in particular? And it is only all-star players. This won't affect any of our guys like Scotty. It doesn't matter. OG, Precious, Koloko, Pirtle, none of them matter. The only person that matters with this is Siakam. Siakam's the only one. And when you only have one, well, you can rest him and load manage him just as long as you're not load managing another superstar at the same time. So it's a very weird rule. It's gonna be interesting to see how they enforce it. I'm fully expecting some people to break the rule and get fined for it. And they're gonna see how it works then. When you see somebody break it, you'll see how it works. So I'm very curious about this thing. I think in some ways this might be a circus. In some ways, it may not really matter. Hopefully, it has the intended effect of having these superstar players play. Kawhi showing up at the Colorado game yesterday. In fact, we had two of our great Raptor champions at the Colorado game supporting Deion Sanders' Colorado football team. Kyle Lowry sitting in the stands with Chauncey Billups, the coach of the Portland Trailblazers. I wonder if there is still a Lillard deal in the works. And then Mr. Lowry may be ending up on the Portland Trailblazers this year all of a sudden. Who knows? But it was interesting to see that Lowry's sitting in the stands at the Colorado football game yesterday with Chauncey Billups sitting next to him. Now, Kawhi was at this game too. And everybody's like, what the is Kawhi doing at this game? He won't even go to his own game sometimes, is what the joke was. Well, yeah, he was at the sidelines, hanging out on the sidelines. It's like everybody's coming to these games now. As Mark Jones, brother of Paul Jones, described it yesterday, this football game is kind of half a BET award show also because there's so many great people here from all kinds of walks of life. Lil Wayne doing a rap and introducing Colorado's team to come out on the field. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, just lingering around Deion this whole time. That doesn't totally make sense to me because Dwayne Johnson's a Miami Hurricane and Deion Sanders is a Florida State Seminole. And yeah, they actually kind of battled each other around the same time. They're about the same age. And there was a little bit of Rocky being on the Hurricanes against Florida State way back in the day, Rocky Johnson. So yeah, it's a little weird. The support coming out for Deion. The swagger is real. I know because I remember it. When I was a little kid, Deion Sanders played for Florida State as a defensive back, but also sometimes wide receiver. He was also a track star at my alma mater of Florida State, and he played baseball also at the school at the same time. On the down low, Deion Sanders was like a Bo Jackson, multi-sport star in 3 sports. He was very good at in the NCAA. Now, he did get in trouble too, also, while he was at Florida State. A couple of dumb, knuckle-headed decisions. But it's very interesting to see the support that he's getting with all the celebrities showing up, including Kawhi Leonard. Very, very strange. Very, very strange. I hope you guys have any more questions about this resting policy. I'll try and answer them as best as I can. Tom Duke saying, gee, I can only find the list of 49 that are exempt. No, those are the ones that are exempt. Those are the ones that are under it. That list of 49 is actually the list of them, Tom. The exempt list is this basically. There's only 7 players, and you have to be 35 years old or older. You have to have at least 34,000 regular season minutes or a combined 1,000 regular seasons and playoff games to be on this list. And that list is LeBron, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, James Harden, DeMar DeRozan, and Mike Conley. So they'll be eligible for the old age exception. So, Adam Silver is not messing around. He wants the product of the NBA to be good. And I hope that he can get the content, the way they play on the court to get better, honestly, because there has been a lot of laziness around the league for a while. It really has. And it's just that they get so catered to at this point. It is such cushy lives. And that's not the problem. The problem is that they don't respect the work with the cushy lives. A lot of them are just coasting. A lot of them are just doing what they do just to get the money, the fame, be on Instagram, show the girls, all that kind of stuff. They don't care about what matters in the NBA, some of these players. And the old heads, the old veteran players know this. DeMar said it on Podcast P. He said, look, a lot of guys are showing up and they're not here for the right reasons. So this is part of why they got to do this, because some of these guys ain't here for the right reasons. I'll tell you that right now. Kareem's here. Good to see Kareem Thomas. I'm aware of the new resting rules, and only one star player can sit at a time. But these softies will start making up shit like headache, gout, dry eyes, or grass allergy. Yeah. I really wonder if they have like an insurance investigator, like somebody who comes and checks and see if somebody really concussed and they're wearing the whiplash thing. Oh, let's test it. Oh, you're fine. There could be fraudulent claims for injury. There's always been this issue, could be possible with sports. And now more than ever, they really do need to kind of check and see, are you really hurt or not? What is this? You have a very sore wrist. I mean, in some ways, it's hard to gauge on that sliding scale who should actually be sitting or not. You want to be careful with it. But in some ways, also, that people have been abusing it. We know they have. So who knows? Maybe there is a job in the league to go around and check injuries. That'd be a fun job, NBA injury checker. All right, let's see if you really are injured, LeBron. And then, it's just a doctor. And he's like, yeah, you're not injured. You should be playing. I'm calling the league office. Don't do that, doctor. And he pulls a gun on him. I advise you not to do that, doctor. I have Nintendo hand. That's what you say I have. I have Nintendo hand. Yes, I will. Don't shoot me. All right. I mean, it could be like that. Seriously. I don't know. That's a weird aspect of the world. Fake injuries and investigating whether they're fake or not. That'd be an interesting job. Seymour saying Clippers' new scoreboard is an acre long. What? It won't change anything. The clip show is a joke. Raptor Freaks for life. There you go, Sheriff Seymour Pape. I love it. Well, if it's their new scoreboard, isn't it the same scoreboard for the Lakers since they both share the crypto arena? That's weird. How do they just have an acre-long scoreboard compared to the Lakers? The Lakers have to cover it up. You don't get to use that acre because we want something special because we're the Clippers and we don't get anything special. Y'all get everything special around here, Lakers. So we want our acre-long scoreboard. I think it's Steve Ballmer's doing, right? Because he's the owner. Maybe he's like, he puts it up and before the games. And like when it's over for the Clippers, he takes it down. He said, no, it's not for you, Lakers. I'm taking my acre-long scoreboard with me. Yeah, put it in my pocket. Omari Parkins is here. Ben Simmons is done. Good morning, family. Hey, I like that news. I don't know. He's saying he's stronger than ever, and he's ready to come back and play his career again. In fact, he's so out of touch and crazy. He says he wants to come back and play for Philadelphia. That he thinks that they want him back there, and he kind of has nostalgia about playing for Philadelphia. What a weird idiot. Like, seriously, dude, don't go back to Philadelphia. You only have to go back there to play and against them when you have to visit. You don't want to go back there. Seriously, when you go back to visit, how are things in the airport, on the street? Yeah, really? You want to go back to Philadelphia? You're crazy. You are crazy. Yeah, there's something wrong with him. Seymour saying, Kareem, don't forget, a broken fingernail. That's right, a broken fingernail. I've got a hangnail. Oh, man, I'm feeling a little, down in the weather. Well, what's wrong with you? You don't have a fever. You're fine. I don't feel right. Just believe me, please. Don't just take my word for it. I just don't feel well. All right. We need you to play today. I just don't feel well. What's wrong with you? I have like a mild headache, maybe an earache. I don't know, something like that. Okay, let's check your ears. You're fine. You could just need a little Tylenol. You could probably play. My stomach doesn't feel well either. I might feel like I might puke or have diarrhea or something like that. Oh, that's no good. Oh, stomach flu. Okay. Well, here's a Pepto-Bismol. You'll be okay in an hour and you can play. No. My foot's sore. That's what it is. My arches are falling. Yeah, I forgot. My foot's real sore. I think Jock Landell stepped on it last game. He's like, oh, your foot hurts. Well, let's just put some tape around it. Wrap it up a little bit, and it'll be fine. You can play. Oh, wait, my wrist. Yeah, my wrist was real sore. I was playing football with my kid, and I was throwing the football, and I went, oh, that's a little different. Oh, okay. Well, we can tape your wrist up, too. You can play. I need my gallbladder out. Yeah. Okay. All right. Are you sure you want me to do this? I have a scalpel. I'll go ahead and start the incision right now. No. All right. I'll play. I don't know. It could be like that. Who knows? It could be like that. That's right. Tom Duke saying, will it be a suspension for missing games? No, they're going to fine the teams. They're going to give them penalties. Of course, it's money. And I hope that money goes to good charities. And yeah, the NBA is so fascist with their fines. Of course, it's fining. It's fines. Yeah, that's the punishment is what it is. Isaac's saying escalating fines on the franchise. That's right, escalating. That's right. They get worse and worse the more you break the rule. You have your third infraction, Phoenix Suns. All right, this time it's 2 million, Matasheba. Give me $2 million. Stuff like that. That's what it'll be. Yeah, Seymour saying Kyle Lowry's still in the league. What? Don't disrespect our growth like that. Kyle's actually looking better than ever this summer. Athletically, he's in good shape right now. He's in really good shape. I'm telling you right now, he was practicing boxing this summer. He was in a boxing ring, moving around like this. And of course, he's playing a lot of golf. He took Pat Riley's words from last year to heart. And this year, he didn't want to have any of this kind of criticism from Heat Nation, Heat Culture, Pat Riley, old head, telling him, you're lazy. You didn't work out enough. You got a big butt. Why are you not in better shape, Kyle? And he's not letting that happen this year. Kyle Lowry may be coming into this latest season in the best shape he's been in preseason ever. Even with those years where he started coming to this training camp for the Raptors in a pretty good shape, Kyle Lowry's serious right now. So yeah, you go look at a picture of him now. You'd be surprised. He's actually in superb shape right now. So I'm gonna be excited to see. Isaac saying third time is a fraction, it's $1 million fine. Wow. Wow. That's a pretty stiff penalty. $1 million. Mark Cuban. He knows about those. Yeah. Kareem saying, are these guys be fucking exemptions because of age? Are you here to play ball? If not, just fucking retire and give a rookie a shot on the roster. Damn. Kareem Thomas with very good point, and I like the way he said it. Exactly. Okay. So, I mean, I don't know if LeBron's going to take a lot of rest days. He probably will, but we'll just have to see. This is not a fair league. In fact, in some ways, the argument con to this is you got to treat all the players exactly the same and equal. Just because you're going to pick on 40 players in the league right now, in some ways, that's the argument that the Players Association has against this policy. Is like, what? You're singling out 40 players. And not only that, players that worked really hard and got to be all stars for this. Well, why are you upset about this? You should want to play. You should want to play. And that's the thing that should matter the most in this whole situation. Well, what if we're kind of half hurt and we kind of force ourselves to play and then we get really hurt because we did that? I don't know. We're going to have to see how this works out in real world implications. And we know that every single situation isn't the same. And we'll have to see what the specifics of certain situations bring about with penalties or possibilities for not getting penalties also because of things. Well, let's see. I'm going to watch this. It's a weird rule. In some ways, we don't need to worry about it as a franchise. So I'm okay with it. I'll laugh at what happens with it. But in some ways, also, I'm like, is this a slippery slope to some sort of weirdness about controlling the players in certain ways? I could be suspicious about it, but still like it. I like the rule. I think it's well intended, but there's still a lot of like gray areas that are really crazy, and it may seem like they're favoring or catering to certain people, like LeBron, with some of the gray areas and the supplemental rules, like this age one that Kareem Thomas so eloquently eviscerated with his comment there. Yeah, I agree. Hey, if you're too old to play, just fucking retire. There's some young guy who's ready to get your minutes. Yeah, I'm about that. I'm about that. Monique saying, good morning, Raptor Freak crew. First thing I thought about is Kawhi. Yeah, instantly. Many say his career is over. Kayla Gray spoke on this too. She said it via Instagram. Kawhi, I hope he plays again. This guy has more years in him. It's just, in some ways, he should have more years accumulated because he's been resting. He's so well preserved right now. Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on with him. In some ways, you wonder about his drive and what he cares about. In some ways, it makes it more all the impressive that we won a championship with him in this 1 year that he played for us, because like he is so like aloof and just hard to read. Like, I don't think he cares about winning for the Clippers. I don't think he cares about trying to win them a championship. I really do think that he's just there collecting the money and being at home, and he doesn't really care. And I mean, whatever. In some ways, I want to believe in Kawhi the Great, Kawhi the supremely talented, one of the greatest players of all time. But in some ways, also, I see like who he is also on the other side of the coin. And I'm like, man, this guy's kind of despicable. He really is in some ways. I mean, he's just a quiet dude and he just lives his life. Maybe he's just like aloof and weird. But also at the same time, you're infuriating. You know, if some people would die to just have a tenth of your talent, Kawhi Leonard, and they would play their asses off. And when you get to this level and you're sitting so much, I don't know, you really hurt, or maybe you figured out something in San Antonio that you've been milking ever since. Yeah, I can just be kind of a little hurt, and they'll listen to me. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm a little hurt. Yeah, see, I don't think he's trying to make the court half the time. I really don't think he is. And that started in San Antonio. We're lucky we got through it in Toronto. Let's just put it that way. And, you know, in some ways, what Nick and Kawhi Leonard did the year the Raptors won in 2019, their first championship, is, you know, the thing that started this mess. The successfulness of Kawhi Leonard's load management with the Raptors championship year in 2019 really set a lot of people around the league, and they started doing it themselves. So 5 years out, now we see where we're at with it. They have to make a rule about it. So yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. Yeah. Quick Take saying, morning, Raptor Freak, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Good to see you, NBA Quick Takes. Give a follow to NBA Quick Takes. Always dropping different content. I see you're doing different teams and talking about the outcomes for possibilities with wins for this season. I love it. You do. I think I just saw you did Charlotte. You've done a couple teams already. I see that you're putting this out, Quick Takes. So give him a follow. He's doing predictions for the season and wins for different teams and what to expect. I love it. Fiercey saying, good morning, fam, and happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Good to see you, Fiercey. Isaac Campbell's got Siakam, and they got him sleeping, and the alarm, and then a rising star. Yeah, I like that. I like that. 100% from Quick Takes. Seymour saying, smoking loud. Okay, Seymour is really enjoying his cannabis this morning, and I'm not going to get in his way. I'm not going to get in his way at all. I might join him in a little bit, too, yeah. Let's see what else y'all are saying here. It looks like Alan Tam is coming with full effect. Alan Tam, Bam son is here. Let's see what he has to say. Evelyn's here. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. Have a blessed Sunday. Good morning to you, Evelyn and baby Candace. Hope you all have a blessed Sunday also. Seymour saying, Granny Evelyn, salute to you. Isaac Campbell saying, what if the player refuses to play like Dame? Do they get penalized in this and for this infraction? I don't know. That may be a whole different kind of kit and caboodle. If you refuse to play and you're healthy just because you have a trade dispute or you don't want to play for them, I'm pretty sure Dame's going to show up for Portland if they don't move him right away. He still wants to work with them and try and move towards it. That's what Shams said. Remember, he said he'd report to Miami and Portland, but he won't report to Toronto, for example. For example, not meaning that he said that actually. So, yeah, I think he's saying that he would show up to Portland even if he's not traded before the season. He's kind of had to soften his stance on hardlining for getting traded to Miami because the league kind of slapped them for it. G saying this list thing is pretty wild. Teams making trades now have to consider this. Yeah, in some ways that's true. That's very true. In some ways, the whole thing that they did with Bradley Beal in Phoenix this summer might backfire because of this. You know, Sheba's crazy, though. It seems like he's willing to spend money like crazy. He wants to he's giving everybody antennas in Phoenix to watch the Phoenix Suns for free this year. He took them off cable, and he wants the people to be able to watch them. I love that move. I wish Bell and Rogers would do that here, but they'll never do that. The Leafs may be on antenna, but the Raptors aren't, and that sucks. The sport should be on for free for people around and I believe that. I really do. So what he's doing with that, Sheba, is awesome. But in some ways, he's not afraid of spending money. So I'll bet Phoenix could infract on this rule and break it, and the owner won't bat an eye. He'll go ahead and pay it. He doesn't care. So there could be part of it there. Seymour saying, other than Christian Wood, any other good signings? I mean, there's been a few signings this week in different places. There's a little bit of talk, like Usman Garuba, which is funny. He was playing for Spain in the FIBA World Cup. We saw him, and I kept calling him Spanish Draymond Green. Well, he's playing with Draymond Green now. The Golden State Warriors signing Garuba to a two-way contract, so he's in their organization now. There's some grumblings that they're trying to get Dwight Howard to come and play for the Warriors. That's a little bit of that grumblings right now. I don't think it's likely, but maybe, who knows? Chris Paul's there. Why not? Just have a whole old age home in Golden State. Your core from your championships are getting old, so why not just add even older guys like Chris Paul and Dwight Howard? So that's a little bit of what I've heard. Otherwise, Christian Wood, everybody's going crazy about the Christian Wood signing, but a lot of smart people are saying, well, this is his eighth team in 8 years, and he hasn't won jack shit. Why are y'all so excited about him? ah, Kareem Thomas is saying these NBA players are going to get team doctors to do their dirty work and write fake receipts. This is all because these guys grew up and everybody gets a ribbon area. Soft as shit. Wow. Yeah, biting words by Kareem. I'm not going to disagree with him, though. I'm not going to disagree with him. In some ways, he's exactly right. Hopefully, they'll have fraud investigators that'll take care of this. And they'll be like, yeah, you can walk. I saw you get up out of that wheelchair when I left, stuff like that. Alan Tam is saying this: Kawhi is finished. He will play his remaining years of his contract, only playing less than half the games. Kawhi is damaged goods. So Alan Tam believes this. In some ways, I get that feeling, although sometimes I see Kawhi in recent years, and I'm like, he's stronger than ever. He looks so badass. And then he folds like a poker hand at some point during the season. And yeah, he's disappointing. He's super disappointing. Honestly, I'll bet he's very disappointing to Clippers Nation. Super disappointing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you didn't get what we got. No, you didn't. You gotten 4 years of him since we got the best year of him. Maybe the best year of him going out. It's crazy. Kareem saying Colorado is like the center of the universe right now. And I can't wait to go to Denver in a few weeks for the Broncos game. Toronto's my home, but Aspen is my breath of fresh air. There you go. Kareem Thomas is reveling in Coach Neon Dion Primetime. Coach Primetime's greatness going on over there. He is different. He's always been this way. He's a preacher. He's also a very colorful character. He's someone I know a lot about just because of my ties to Florida State and his ties to Florida State. He was part of my childhood, honestly. When he was playing at Florida State, I was a kid in Tallahassee, and he was like the king of Tallahassee at that time. So seeing Dion in the spotlight doing what he's doing, that's just normal for the course. Him, and you got to think about his career with the Atlanta Braves. He actually was in World Series and playing at big level of baseball with the Braves when he was playing in the MLB. So like this dude has done it all, honestly, in a lot of ways. And then you got to think about his broadcasting career. Holy crap. He had a very good long broadcasting career, and now he's taking over coaching. They already want him in the NFL. And he's saying stuff like, I like it here in Boulder. The air is nice. And I feel like I want to stay here. I'm not in a rush to come to the NFL. He will at some point, though. He will go to the NFL at some point. Watch. Yeah, there you go. Kareem, enjoy your trip to Denver. And now I know something about you, that you're a Broncos fan, and you don't mind primetime Dion doing what he's doing right now. Alan Tam saying, bam, son. Bo Jackson played for the LA Raiders and the Kansas City Royals. That's right, he did. I remember that. Bo knows baseball, and Bo knows football. Bo knows track and field. Bo knows lacrosse. Bo knows curling. Yeah, Bo knows table tennis. Bo knows slam ball. I don't know. I'm just making it up. Yeah, I remember Bo Jackson. There were a few of those multi-star players that were around at that time, and Dion was one of them. That's for sure. Dion, in some ways, is more impressive to me than Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson was very good for the Raiders. His Kansas City days were, but in some ways, what Dion did in both his careers was kind of more impressive than Bo Jackson in some ways on the down low. If you really go look at the stats and the accomplishments, you might be like, whoa, wait a second. I didn't realize Dion did this much in baseball. And then, of course, his cornerback work in the NFL was also very, very good, too. That's right. Yeah. He was on the Falcons for a little while. I know that. He was also on the Saints, I believe, for a bit. Tom Duke saying, bam, son. Good morning to Alan. Yeah. Bam, son. Kareem Thomas saying, Danny Ainge, Toronto Blue Jays, and Boston Celtics. There you go. Another multi-sport athlete, Danny Ainge. He had to quit the Blue Jays because the Celtics told him to. That's messed up. See, there's another reason to hate the Celtics. They took away Danny Ainge. He could have been great. Alan Tam saying Deion Sanders played Atlanta Braves and Atlanta Falcons. That's right. That's right. 2 sports stars. Bam, son. Yeah. Yeah, dang. G saying Marquise Noel is taking a break from Insta. All right, we'll do the Instagram check since G has told me this. And yeah, I saw this morning. I was kind of like, this is good. This might be good, honestly. We'll start with Dennis first. So he's had enough celebrating of his World Cup championship and his MVP, and he's back at work. And I love seeing Dennis like working really hard. This dude's serious about his athleticism and his professionalism and being in top shape and being the best version of himself. This is the kind of person we want around the Raptors. I'm so happy Dennis Schroeder was acquired this summer to replace Fred VanVleet. And he's just showing great role model stuff as far as like he's back at it. I love it. And then showing him on a TV show and it's somebody's birthday. Gary Trent's concert that he saw 50 Cent at was in St. Paul at the XL Energy Center. So I found that out. And yes, Marquise Noel has posted this. I might give this Instagram thing a break for a while. This is good, Marquise. He's got it written on a black thing and nothing else. This is good because in some ways you've been really crazy with your posts on Instagram as far as declaring things that you want to do with your career. I get it. That's fine. Have a vision board at home and put all that stuff or a diary. Write it all in the diary. But writing it publicly on Instagram where everybody's going to see it, they either think that you're crazy, they think that you're cash putting checks out too big that may be hard for you to fulfill later on. In some ways you're not doing yourself any help by bragging or saying what you're going to do on Instagram so much. So in some ways this season, if you're not on Instagram a whole lot, that may be good. And I totally get this. It may be that you've matured just a little bit more in the last week or so and realize, this isn't a distraction. I'm causing myself distractions that are unnecessary by doing this way. You're going to have to find out how you want to use your social media in a positive way where you're not making yourself have more pressure, because that's what's happening here is you're giving yourself way more pressure just by, I love the attitude and I want you to do what you're saying. It's just that it's not necessary to build up the pressure on yourself by posting so much like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. I'm just saying, dude, you haven't even played an NBA yet. There's no guarantees. You're a two-way player. And I love to see you get all the success in the world, but the break from Instagram may be good just because you are really proclaiming a lot of stuff, like being the greatest Raptor ever, winning multiple championships and being multiple time NBA Finals MVP. That's huge stuff. Very few people get to do this in their lifetime in the history of the NBA. Like the list is short. So you doing that, that's great. I'd love for you to do it, but come on, man. We don't want people to make fun of you and make you seem like you're stupid for saying stuff like that. So the break from Instagram is welcomed, at least from me. And yeah, Marquise, get some perspective. Move in the shadows. Do your work silently and show the results when the time comes, when it's time to go to war in the games. I love the stuff about you saying we want to turn it up in the six. We get wild in the six. I want people to be afraid of the six again. I love all that stuff. That's the kind of stuff you could do, but don't put so much personal pressure on yourself with expectations is what I'm saying. Precious has got a very cool picture of a crossing in Toronto. You know it's in Toronto because you see those flashing lights. Everybody knows what those look like because if you're driving down the street and you see somebody press that button, you got to stop and let the pedestrian cross the street. Well, that means Precious is in Toronto, and that's what I like to see. Our guy is in Toronto right now. Let's see. Ron Harper Jr. has had a falling out with someone. It's obvious because of some of the things he's posting. I ain't on bad terms with nobody. We just not that anymore. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe somebody let him down, and now he's feeling like, and then he's at his favorite gym, which is the Rutgers practice gym. So he's saying he's at his favorite gym in Rutgers, and then they have a picture of him on the sidelines with his friend Kay Miller. So yeah, good stuff there. Yuta is putting something on blast in Sedona, Arizona. Of course, he's doing an ad endorsement for products around Arizona, being on the Phoenix Suns now. So that's interesting. Like I said, Kyle Lowry was at the Prime Pass at the game yesterday, Colorado versus Colorado State. So Lowry's showing off his press pass to go down on the field because he was at the game as one of the luminaries. Now, also yesterday, I need to talk about this. There was a big event in New York City called World Basketball Day or something like that. I don't know exactly what it's called, But it's very interesting. Scotty was at it, and it's on his Instagram stories. He shows his picture of him in front of a building, and it looks like something like he's just sitting outside. But then he turns the camera, and you see people playing basketball on the court. It's the 2023 basketball Nike World Basketball Festival is what he was at, and basically, from what I gather, is a big, huge Nike advertisement. It's basically maybe Nike clients that they have that endorse their shoe and wear it in the league are coming to this. There was Kevin Durant was there, Devin Booker, some of the Thunder were there, as far as Chet Holmgren and Josh Giddey. Scotty was there, front row and center. Jewel Lloyd, Sue Bird. There were a lot of NBA people and WNBA people and just basketball people in general that were at this game. And there was youth teams playing outside the Lincoln Center in New York City, right outside downtown. And they had a tournament. And Scotty got to give the championship to the young men's winner. So he got to do something special for that. So an interesting basketball event in New York yesterday, World Basketball Festival, put on by Nike. And to be honest, it's really just one big Nike commercial. And everybody who's there at it is basically probably connected to Nike in some sort of way. So a lot of NBA players there for that event. A very interesting event. It looked like a beautiful day to play outdoor basketball in the middle of the city in New York. So Scotty was there in New York yesterday at Nike World Basketball Festival. Very, very strange event. I've never heard of this before. If they did this before, it wasn't big time and nobody was paying attention to it. Well, now they are. So there you go. And Scotty was the guy who gave the trophy, and he has a Nike World Basketball Festival jacket on that says 2023 Scotty Barnes on it, a specialized jacket. So they knew he was coming. He was going to be a guest of honor. So there's your Raptors Instagram check. Scotty at the World Basketball Festival, and a lot of people at the Colorado game yesterday also. So yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, Marquise, taking a break from Instagram is probably a good idea. Let's just keep it that way. Yeah. Quick Take saying can't play with gout. That's probably true. I don't know. Maybe you can. Alan Tam saying, Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust. What? Silly rabbit? Tricks are for kids. I like that catchphrase. Evelyn saying, I feel really sorry to Kawhi. He should have stayed with the Raptors and focused in his career would be more successful and flourish to the max. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hindsight's 2020. We could have told him that was the wrong mistake. If you have something good going, don't mess with it. Keep it going. And you had good things going here in Toronto. And I'll bet, there'll be one day, someday, Kawhi will say, I should have stayed in Toronto. He's going to admit it. I'll bet you he will. But you can't do anything about that. Uncle Dennis was a bad person in your ear. There's all the different things, the reasons why you did it. Okay, yeah. Do you feel like it was the right decision at this point? You probably don't. You probably don't, Kawhi. And it is what it is. Some of it is you bought into the bullshit about Toronto that people believe as far as we weren't good enough to repeat. That's bullshit. If you had stayed with us, we would have won that bubble championship instead of the Lakers. You know we would have. So woulda, coulda, shoulda. We can think about this all day, but what's the point? He made his decision. He's a failure for it. And it's not our fault. We did what we could, and we wanted to try and get him to stay Kawhi and dine. And it didn't happen. So it's on him. It's completely on him. He made that decision. He's got to have that regret for the rest of his life and wonder what if he left a chip or two on the table by leaving Toronto. That's on him. That's on him. Alan's saying, what's popping? What's popping? Yeah. Sunday morning special report on the Raptor Free channel. That's right. Alan Tam saying, I'm glad the Raptors didn't sign Kawhi and trade for George because they would be useless for the Raptors. They both injury prone. Yeah. Yeah, we've said this often. It's on Kawhi. If he had chosen to stay with, we would have been great, felt good about it. But in some ways, we've also said we've dodged a bullet. Then in some ways, if we're going to get Kawhi like they've gotten Kawhi in LA the last 4 years, then I'm glad he went to LA and he didn't waste our time and money and expectations and hope with letting us down like he has for the Clippers since. So in some ways, yeah, Alan, I'm really happy he did go there. What happened was what was supposed to happen. That's the one thing that people need to realize about in your life. Things may not go perfect. Things may not be exactly what you envisioned or what you wanted, but sometimes things work out the way they're supposed to. And in some ways you dodge bullets and good things happen because of that. So even if you have an idealized idea of what you want to happen, if it doesn't go according to plan completely, we'll make the best of it. And sometimes it's even better because of that. And I hate it that he didn't give us a chance. It's unprecedented that a team breaks up like that after a championship without getting the chance to do a repeat. In some ways, we got ripped off for sure. But that was all Kawhi's doing in stupid ways. And well, he pays for it. He pays for it. We don't. We don't. We did what we could. We can go to sleep at night knowing we tried everything to get Kawhi to stay in Toronto. And he made that decision by himself. So it's on him. It's on him. You got to remember what you can and can't control. And you can't beat yourself up for things you can't control when Kawhi was the one in control in that situation. So it's his mistake. That's right. There you go. Let's see. Trevor's saying, you missed both my comments this morning. Trevor, I don't see. Let me see where your comments are. Okay, here we go. Oh, yeah. All right. I see. And I did also. Okay, I'll read them real quick. Sorry about that, Trevor. Good morning, Raptors family from Vegas. Happy Sunday. It's 6:32 a.m. Life never seems to be the way we want it, but we live it the best way we can. All right, I like that. That's kind of going along with what I was just saying, Trevor. Yeah, in some ways it may not be exactly what you wanted, but we do what we can, the best with what we can. Yeah, sorry about that, Trevor. I didn't mean to. In fact, I want to show you. I've got the package that you sent me here in the mail with me. I haven't opened it. I might just throw a new label on it and send it right out right away like this. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, you were just before G. Sorry about that, Trevor. I don't know why I didn't see that at that time. It wasn't any purposeful thing, obviously. Just sometimes I get in a bad place with where I am with the comments and stuff. Isaac saying, "Are you sick?" Yes, I have Nintendo hand. Yeah, I've not had Justin Bieber on my stream for a little bit, and it's probably because he has a made up malady right now. He has a weak tail. Yeah, weak beaver tail right now. And he said, I can't be on the show right now. My tail hurts and it's a weak beaver tail. And I'm like, okay, Justin, you're a puppet. And you don't move without me moving you. And like, how is this? Okay, whatever excuse you got to use, fine. Don't be on the stream then, Justin Bieber. Jeez, you know, Nintendo hand, beaver, weak beaver tail. Whatever. Alan Tam saying, but if the trade did happen, then SGA would be a Raptor now because SGA and George would have come back. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. They wanted Russell and Paul George here with Kawhi. They wanted Westbrook here. I don't know. The whole demands that Kawhi wanted on the way out, whether it was Uncle Dennis being in the front office or getting specific players like Paul George, was just ridiculous. And we didn't need that. In fact, that's part of the reason why they've been a failure in the Clippers is because they listened to Kawhi and let him run the team for a little while. No, we like doing jobs the way they're supposed to. You're a franchise player. You play basketball. You go on the court. You don't tell us how to run our team and who to go get and all that kind of stuff. Oh, you want us to bend over backwards, do this to make you stay? No, we ain't doing that because that's not what we do here in Toronto. We're smarter than the Clippers and the Lakers to do that with their superstars. And we ain't going to do that. That's what happened right there. Yeah. SGA is a superstar. I completely agree. He may be one of the top superstars coming up. Alan Tam saying, forgot about Lowry. He's washed up now. Come on now. We don't like to disrespect our greatest Raptor of all time, Mr. Kyle Lowry. We love Kyle, and we don't say things like he's washed up. No, he's not. He can still play. He can still play. You watch. He's going to come back this year, and he's going to be in better shape than ever. And he may make people eat their words. If he gets traded away from Miami, he's going to make people feel it. If he's in Portland with Chauncey Billups, yeah, you're going to see it. Yeah, you can see it. Good morning, Raptor Free Crew from Cool Cat. Good morning to you, Cool Cat. I'll try and get that ESPN Fantasy League set up in the next couple of days. When I get a chance, I will. Alan Tam saying, booyaka, booyaka, booyaka. Okay, then. He's got the little gun, too. Cool Cat saying, I heard on First Take in NBA Today that it's team doctors that are resting players. The players actually want to play. Really? I don't know about that. I think you got to go on a case-by-case basis. Sure, some of them may be doing that. In some ways that they want to do the sports science and figuring that out. That's probably likely with us that the Raptors are probably more likely, okay, Fred, you got to sit on this game. But also Fred abused taking games off when he had the birth of Layla earlier this year. He took too many games off. I'll still say that. I stand by that. I don't care if your daughter is just born. Taking 3 games off for the birth of your daughter. I know they said there was a death also. In some ways, it smacked of kind of abusing this in some ways. So I think it's a case by case basis. We can't just generally say, okay, it's the doctors that handle this. I think some of the guys are actually saying, I don't want to play, and they're lazy. And then there are some guys that are like, I want to play, but the doctor won't let me play. There's all different levels, but I don't think it's just that what you're saying. I think there is some of that, sure, but there are lazy guys that are also making up excuses to not play, also. So it runs a gamut. We can't just say it's both or it's just one or the other. It is like there's a little bit of percentages in every place. Alan Tam saying Stephen A. Smith is sellout. He backstabbed Max Kellerman. I don't even get this. In some ways, this isn't news to me, Alan Tam. I don't care. I thought Max Kellerman was pretty astute with some of the stuff he said, but also he's an idiot too. These are ESPN talking heads. They're idiots. And a lot of times I just don't have time for them. So yeah, but he did kind of stab Max Kellerman in the back. He really did. In some ways, he may have done him a solid too, because his name's out there more. So I don't know. Alan's saying Kawhi the Claw is 32 years old and his leg and foot is damaged. It's sad. I mean, seriously, it's sad. Some people say, oh, if he had Dr. Alex his whole career, maybe he'd be all right. You know, you just need Dr. Alex sooner in your career, Kawhi, or you need him now. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's not our problem. It's the Clippers' problem. It's Tyronn Lue and Steve Ballmer's problem. And I'm glad it's not our problem. Seriously, if we were talking about Kawhi, we would be so pissed off at him by now. Seriously, Raptors fans would be going crazy in the way they acted with Kawhi Leonard in the last 4 years. If he had stuck around and been on our team, they wouldn't have been able to handle him sitting out so much and feeling like, what if he had just played or been healthy? There's a lot of that for Clippers fans right now. They're like, what if these guys had just been healthy, one or two of them or both of them at the same time, man, what if could have happened? You know, Cool Cat saying Kawhi has degenerative problem. It will never get better. His body can't hold up to the rigors. He needs load management to last the season. Those trainers need to learn from the Raptors process. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever proprietary thing that Dr. Alex is doing that Kawhi loves so much. Well, yeah, we paid him a lot of money to stay here. I'm sure they tried to lure him just like our players to the Clippers. Well, Dr. Alex is an executive in MLSE, a doctor, president of sports science. So he gets paid and he's got the title to stay here. So no, they ain't getting that proprietary. No, they're not. I'm sad for Kawhi, but in some ways, the clock is ticking. If you really want to make the best out of your career, you get older and older and more degenerative. Well, maybe we did get him at the last good apex of his career, and he is washed, like y'all said. Yeah, it could be. Alan Tam saying Kawhi won us. Hang on, Alan, I jumped ahead. Let me make sure I get this. Kawhi won us a championship, so no hate on him. Yeah, no, it's not. I don't hate him. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a great player. I'm sad for him because in some ways I question how much of this is the injuries and how much of this is kind of like half-assed saying, well, I'm hurt. I don't want to play. I don't know. None of us can say for sure. But I'm going to say that the percentages may be surprising to people as far as like how hurt he actually has been. And they're like, oh, I didn't realize it was that. Or how hurt he hasn't actually been. But we don't know. I don't know completely. I'm not a doctor. But to me, it seems like it's real flaky how he can suit up and come play sometimes, and sometimes he can't. Okay, load management. But in some ways, this rule and what they did is all because of him, this thing that I'm talking about today. So Clippers, silver, second. Isaac, hilarious. Alan Tam saying, the fun guy, laugh out loud, holla, bam, son. The fun guy, yeah. Kareem saying, laugh out loud. Toronto officially started the load management saga with Kawhi, and now we are watching the league and NBA players in a tug of war. That's right. That's right. In some ways, we did cause this, but in some ways, we're exonerated, and we don't have any worries with this because we don't have more than one superstar. So we don't have to worry. We just have Pascal. So, hey, we're good. We're good. Y'all don't want to give us, say, oh, they have more than one superstar. In fact, you begrudgingly give us Siakam. A lot of y'all don't believe he's a superstar, that he should be on that list. Y'all are crazy. But hey, we'll take the benefits of y'all downsliding us, that we don't have to deal with this resting policy as badly because y'all downgrade our Raptors. Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that. I'm sure OG is really at the level of like Jalen and Jason, but we don't have to put them in that level so that we have to deal with a resting policy with two players. No, we don't. So there you go. You marketed our guys to not being as known. Well, we get the benefits of it in this situation. There you go. There you go. Monique is saying this doesn't affect the Raptors. I'm good with it too, Lex. Alan, Kyle is not done. Stop it. She's standing up for Kyle, saying he's not washed. That man can still play. I believe her, and I believe in Kyle. That's right. Yeah, I don't think this will affect us. If it does, we'll have to see how it affects us in a weird way, but I don't think it will in some ways. Who knows? Maybe they'll make Scotty an all-star this year. And then it will affect us after the All-Star break. Then all of a sudden we can't load manage Scotty and Pascal on the same night. Well, that don't seem like it's going to be a problem. Our guys are very eager to play. In fact, that's one of the things about showing up and being a Raptor. Not only are you a good citizen and a good person, not like whatchamacallit just choked out his girlfriend, but also you're raring to go and anxious and you're excited to play. And so you show up. You know, some of these guys are showing up the NBA. They get drafted. They put that hat on, shake Adam Silver's hands, and they're like, hey, I'm good. I don't have to work anymore. I'm going to get that NBA contract. We're good, Mom. We're good. Yeah, there's a little bit of that. And we don't get those guys. We analyze them and we find the ones that will work even after you pay them, like Siakam. So, yeah, I'm not worried about our guys with these rules. In some ways, these rules aren't made for us. Even if we started this, it's not made for us. No, it's not. Quick Take saying, slam dunk that like button. Thank you, NBA Quick Takes. And definitely give him a follow. Seriously. Isaac saying teams will still rest right before playoffs, but it will likely discourage resting earlier in the regular season. Yeah, I think that the way the Raptors have handled their load management in the last couple of years is we really kind of see it rear its head near the end of the season, where we'll see like OG get one rest game, Fred get one rest game, Pascal gets one rest game, and the young guys don't get rest games. They just go out there and play no matter what. Scotty is not taking load management rest games. He's not. So it's kind of interesting in some ways. I really do think it's these young guys who show up just for the money, the fame, and just making it. That don't care about playing. They just want to get the notoriety and saying some of these guys make the league and that's it. You get that first contract and boom, you're right out because you didn't work hard. You didn't do nothing, and boom, you're right out the league. So that there's a problem with this at this point, and those guys will, I have no respect for, honestly. If you're gonna play the game and get all the way to there, go all the way and stop. Like just go, I got my bag, I'm good. There's a lot of guys that are like that at this point. It's crazy. It is crazy. Yeah, they probably will allow some resting before the playoffs, but some of it will have to do with like whether they're done with their position in the standings. Like if there's like no possible way that they go up or down, then they can probably get away with it. But if they even look like they are tanking for position in the playoffs, like on purpose by holding guys out, the NBA is going to investigate them and possibly fine them, Isaac. So even at the end of the season, they have to be careful. Just like Dallas should have been more careful at the end of the season when they tried to tank out of the playoffs. They got in trouble for it. So it is still dangerous at the end of the season to make sure your position and where you are in the standings and whether you're playing for something still, it matters. You may have to still play right up until the end of the season because of that. Kareem saying, what happened? You can't walk? Please get me a wheelchair. I got to take a shit. Paul Pierce missing the third quarter. All right. I don't totally even understand that reference, but I'm going to give Kareem a dunk just because it's ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous. Let's see. Stargate saying, Raptor Street family. What up, Stargate? Good to see you on a Sunday. G saying, the league is going to look very different in a few years when LeBron, Curry, KD retire. Players like Ja and Zion, whom they wanted to take the torch, make poor decisions, opportunities for the youth. You know, I posted something in the Raptor Freak chat on Facebook the other day about Nikola Jokic and how he is absolutely the best player in the league right now. But the NBA won't market him that way. In some ways, it's because he doesn't play by the rules. He doesn't want to do the Golden Boy treatment. He doesn't want to be like marketed that way. In some ways, they don't want to market him because he's not American, because he's goofy, he's non-athletic and all this stuff. This is part of the problem with the NBA. The thing that the NBA was great for was they had superstars, but they were natural superstars. They were superstars that were actually like Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Allen Iverson. These were guys that were actual legit superstars. You can tell that's a superstar. These are people you're in awe of when they come out on the court every night. There's a lot of guys that are getting these monikers that don't deserve it yet or haven't earned it or may never actually earn it. And they're getting it early in time. And that's the problem I have right now. Y'all are picking who you want to be superstars before they're actually superstars. And you're not actually choosing the guys who are actually doing the superstar kind of work. So until the NBA rectifies how they ordain golden boys and superstars in their league, I'll have no faith in the young crop coming up, because the people that are putting on blast are people like Zion and Ja. I don't really think that Jason Tatum is that much better than Pascal Siakam, but the NBA makes you feel like he is. And I don't think that's right. I think Siakam is, if not better than Tatum, at least right there with him. But you wouldn't feel that. The general NBA perception is that Siakam isn't as good as those two guys in Boston, either one of them. Well, he's definitely as good as Jaylen Brown, and he's definitely as good as Jason Tatum in my book. His numbers speak to it, and his success speaks to it also. He has something they don't have, and that's hardware. So, that's what I'm saying. We can see who's earned getting more accolades and more attention this kind of way, and the NBA is unfairly not always giving it to the people that deserve it and the people that should. And that's why I don't have any faith in the young generation coming up, because some of y'all are getting it handed to you when you don't deserve it. And the people that do deserve it are getting ignored. So, NBA, get your product placement right. Start placing the product in the right hands of the right people. And then you'll have a better league with the right kind of superstars, the ones that we can actually look up to and honor and like respect. Instead of these knuckleheads you're telling us they're supposed to be superstars like Ben Simmons and Zion Williamson. And then we just see like their crazy texts with porn stars, or, Ja Morant running around with a gun. So yeah, get it right. You could do a better job of picking these guys. There's a lot of good stars in this league coming up, and you could do a better job of trying to figure out who in the crop should be marketed as being the face of the NBA. You're not doing a very good job deciding this. Whoever's deciding who should be the faces of the NBA, just stop. Let them play and let the fans decide who the face of the NBA should be, because the best players will rise to the top, and the fans will undoubtedly say, this is the best player, Nikola Jokic. And you're not doing that. You're really not doing that. You're forcing LaMelo Ball down our throats. You're forcing Ben Simmons down our throats, Jason Tatum, Joel Embiid, a bunch of bums down our throat. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Quit trying to manufacture superstars that we're supposed to follow as the superstars in the league. We'll decide who the superstars are on their merits of how they play and their character and how they conduct themselves. And y'all can go ahead and say, oh, Zion Williamson is the next superstar. Well, motherfucker need to show up and play on the court. That's what you got to do first to get there. That's right. That's right. Quick Take saying load management was getting out of control after we did with Kawhi and won the chip. Now you pay for it. Good move. I mean, I still don't like fines. I still don't think the NBA is good for fining things. But if they want to, if this is going to help, we'll see if it has the intended purpose. If it does actually what it's supposed to do, I'll be all for it. I'll be like, yes, thank you for making this load management rule. Thank you, Adam Silver. But if it's like really like not fair and they're doing really weird stuff, like some cases they're not enforcing it, some cases they are, and it seems like they're doing favorites, I'll be like, this is a messed up rule. You should have never started it. So they got to apply it fairly across the board. And in some ways, they're already not doing that just because they have a list. And it's going to be weird. We'll see how it goes this year. We'll see how this is a factor. We'll see if this is the only year they have this rule. If it goes so badly, they're like, yeah, we can't do this anymore, because it's kind of like it does seem like we're picking on particular people, this kind of thing. Let's see. Cool Cat saying our Raptors will be a sleeper success. I predict it. Let's fucking go. That's right. That's right, Cool Cat. I love it. I love it. I believe that too. Let them sleep. Don't hit the alarm. Don't let them get the alarm going off and waking them up. Cool Cat saying, I love how HT Jr. has bulked up. HT Jr. I'm trying to think about who HT Jr. is. You mean Gary Trent Jr.? You do, right? Not HT. It's got to be GTJ. Yeah. Yeah, Gary's bulked up. Press is bulked up. Pascal's bulked up. Scotty's bulked up. Christian's bulked up. These guys are all bulking up. Maybe they are on some HGH. I don't know. Monique saying some of the guys fly back to Toronto this week or next week. Happy birthday to Shelby Weaver. Yeah, that was on the Instagram check that I didn't see it, though. That's on Chris Boucher's Instagram. He's back in Toronto from St. Lucia, and he was celebrating Shelby's birthday. Shelby's one of the people who helps around the Raptors. She's a handler, somebody who very much helps like guys get what they need when they come to the city. Like Grady, you need help getting an apartment. Shelby's the person that kind of helps. Shelby's a former player also herself. She played collegiately, and she's best friends with Chris. Chris and her are very, very tight. And she's kind of his person in the Raptors organization that he really trusts and cares for him. So she had a birthday party in a bar last night, and Chris was there, and they were celebrating her, and she was doing a little dancing. So yeah, it's Shelby's birthday yesterday. She's an important person on the Raptors staff as far as helping the players with different things and support. So there you go. Quick take saying Kawhi top worst NBA decision all time. Yeah, it's even to the point where I posted this in the Raptors Freak private group and Facebook yesterday that Mick Foley on his podcast last year said it himself. He said, when you have the adulation of a whole country, like Bret Hart does with wrestling for Canada, Kawhi had that for Canada because of the championship. You don't just throw that away. Like he said it, Mick Foley. He said, I feel like Kawhi made a mistake walking away from Toronto and playing for the Raptors when he had the whole country eating out of his hand. He was a king of Canada and he walked away from it. And that's Mick Foley saying this. He's saying, as a wrestler, it's hard for us to get over with the whole entire country and have people told the whole entire country behind you. And he had that and he squandered it and threw it away. So Mick Foley very much is on public record saying that he thinks that Kawhi made a mistake by not staying with Toronto after the championship year here with us. Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. In some ways, it's a bad mistake. McGrady regrets leaving Toronto way back. Tracy McGrady, he said it. Vince, in some ways, regrets not giving Toronto a better chance with Bosch coming in, stuff like that. He may have had some things that he wish he had handled differently with his time with Toronto. Tom Duke saying 100% quick takes. Raptors really were blatant with the load management of Kawhi. Rules are made to be worked around, right? I didn't even feel like we were that egregious with the load management of Kawhi. I think it was very fair. I mean, there were 20 games that he did not play in that season, but it wasn't like that was overabundance of too much. There was enough of him stepping in and showing from game to game. They were actually did a fantastic job of balancing Kawhi games and non-Kawhi games. I looked at my schedule from that season when I went to the games that year. I went to half my games I went to that season had Kawhi in them, and half my games that I went to that season did not. And it was not a big deal. We were winning without him playing also. Nick has talked about it recently. I think on the Patrick Beverley podcast, he said that like load managing Kawhi that year was a balance, and they did a really effective job. They were very smart about it. So the success story of load managing Kawhi in the 2019 season is like the template of what everybody's tried to do since, but nobody's actually gotten it exactly right like we have in some ways, obviously, because of the outcome and everything going perfect with what happened. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing. Kawhi is the epicenter of this whole thing for sure. Tom Duke saying weak tail. Yeah, he has weak beaver tail. He can't be on the stream today because his tail is weak. Yeah, weak beaver tail. Don't eat that beaver tail. It's a weak beaver tail. Quick take saying it. Tom Duke, Raptors best all-time load management in the NBA. Yeah, that may be the perfect season of load management ever in the whole entire history of the NBA. That's right. Fiercely saying this rule about load management was necessary. I guess it was for them to make it. We'll see how it works. And hopefully it works really well. And we'll be very happy that they made it. But also we can be critical of it. In some ways, if it's not hurting us, I'll be like, yeah, it's great. If it's hurting a lot of other teams and all kinds of weird stuff is happening, I'll be like, yeah, this is great. But it may not be totally fair. Quick take saying nobody has done load management better than us. Yeah, I'll agree with this. Stargate saying, I'm sure the NBA was in the ears of both Kawhi and Uncle Dennis, pushing them to go home. I know this is for sure. The narrative to them to ensure they don't return the Raptors, just like they did with Giannis resigning to the Bucks. Yeah, I could see that. Now, I don't know about the Giannis part that you said there, but this is definitely true. The NBA was pressuring Kawhi to leave Toronto also. They didn't like what was developing up here. Like the possibilities of a Raptors dynasty was not appealing to the NBA powers that be. And they knew that they had to get him to leave. That's the best way to make sure that it didn't happen. So they very much were encouraging him to leave as far as part of not just Steve Ballmer and the Clippers encouraging it. The NBA was trying to encourage him too, I'm sure, because the idea of multiple championships going to Toronto in 2 years is probably something that they felt like it might hurt their product and it might make people turned off in the States if it seems like the Raptors all of a sudden are like the Warriors and dominating the league. So yeah, there's a lot of weird workings with this. That's why we have to turn around and come and get the next one, as Masai puts it, to show that we're bona fide, that it's not a fluke, that this isn't a one-hit wonder, as some people have liked to describe our championship already. No, it's not gonna be. We're gonna win some more, and y'all are gonna eat those words. We're not Kajagugu too shy, a one-hit wonder. No, we're not. We are gonna have many, many, many good hits in the years to come in the history of the NBA. Raptors are gonna win Larry O'Brien's. Trust me, we're gonna do it because we are a winning team, and we have been. We're one of the top winning teams in the last 12 years in the league. The results cannot be denied. So I agree with this, Stargate. The NBA had a hand in influencing Kawhi for sure. Let's see. Quick takes saying Raptors were so deep even without Kawhi. Yeah, and we still are in some ways. Right now, our team is super deep right now on the down low. People are going to be like, that's what I keep saying to people. It's like people are going to look at our team now and they're going to be like, how did they have all those guys all at once at the same time? When it's like, we're going to be talking about Scotty, Precious, Pascal, Jakob, Gary Trent, OG, Dennis. Yeah, they're going to be like, that's a stacked team in like 5 years from now, just like they look at our championship team now. They're like, oh, that's a stacked team. Look, they had Norman off the bench with Fred. That's crazy. Those guys are both like really good starters now. That's what I'm saying. Kareem saying Kawhi is a robot and shows no humility. San Antonio gave him shit for resting too much. Toronto gave him load management. Clippers also do load management 2.0 plus, and now the NBA has had enough. That's right. They had enough, and enough is enough. The fans are stop coming to the games. They're going to stop buying tickets because these guys are not shooting up and they're not seeing what they wanted to see. That's right. Alan Tam saying Jeremy Lin signs with a new Taipei Kings. Laugh out loud. That's Raptors news. Bam, son. Alan Tam. Bam, son, with the Tam bomb. It's like a Woj bomb, except it's a Tam bomb. All right, you go, Jeremy Lin. I support you, Toronto Raptors NBA champion, Jeremy Lin. That's right. Cool Cat saying, Masai throwing everything at our executive doctor, Alex McKechnie, to keep him at home. Chestnut checkers. Yeah. In some ways, Alex don't want to move nowhere because he's getting older. But also, at the same time, you give him an executive position, an executive salary, and it keeps him here. Quick take saying Raptors have top-notch physical therapy also. We have the best of everything, the best of practice facilities, the best staff, the best of everything. That really is true about us. Good to see you, Wayne. Cool Cat saying we perfected what San Antonio load management. Siakam, our athletic standard star player, we are ready to play and be competitive. I agree. I don't think Siakam's going to be a problem with load managing. That man just wants to play. He could be hurt and he'll want to play. He's not like the newer players. He's like the older players. He will play very much hurt and go. So I'm not worried about him as a leader on our team. And the guys should follow his lead and be like him. In some ways, I could be worried about Fred being a little lazy around this team as a leader. If he's kind of in the direction of Kyle, we know Kyle was a lazy leader, not as far as like being a leader, but just being lazy. He doesn't like practice. He didn't like showing up for stuff. And when Kyle left and went to Miami, we had more practices under Nick Nurse. We had more practices and worked harder and away from the court than when Kyle was on the team. Well, now that Fred's not on the team, I'm wondering how much we can really practice and do stuff as far as Darko and a very athletic team that wants to get up and down the court and be very fast paced. This is going to be interesting. The switch of Dennis from Fred in this kind of way. They can be very up-tempo, high-energy kind of practices with these athletes that we have on our team. And I'm really excited about this year's edition of the Raptors. Seriously. There's a lot of different things about us that have changed from this last year that are going to be very intriguing to see the results from those changes. Yeah, I'm all about that. Yeah. Quick take saying, Cool Cat, real rap. Yeah. Cowboy saying, good morning, Lex. Bam. Rapper Freaks. Bam. Good to see you, Bradley. Cool Cat saying, this season, only Pascal, OG, Dennis, and Toe Guy can get a rest day nearing the end of the season. So she's saying right now, the only people she wants to have rest games at the end of the season. Well, I'm going to add Pirtle to this too, just because he's getting up there and he's a big guy. Siakam, OG, Dennis, and Otto can have rest games. What about Thad? He's not going to need them. He'll get rest. I can see Pirtle needing maybe a rest game near the end of the season also. But Scotty, Gary, no. Gary's probably going to get rest game anyway. Hopefully, he won't get injured or have any nagging injuries, and there won't be any issues. Precious doesn't need a rest day. No, he doesn't. So I'm pretty much with Cool Cat on this. Siakam, Anunoby, Dennis, sure. Otto, if Otto plays for us, I don't even know what's going to happen with Otto. Pirtle, though, I would add Pirtle to that list just to add him. Stargate saying, I wonder if Ellen and the kids will move to Toronto full time as well while Dennis is here. They are. Yeah, they are. He's told them we're going to Toronto next. So they are going to be here. And it only makes sense. They got to have home base. They're not going to stay in Germany away from dad. I mean, hell, they just traveled around the world with him on his FIBA World Cup tour. And that's no problem. They're very good on the road, even though they're very young kids. It could even be that they join on road trips to an extent and go out west. When we go out west on the long road trip to LA, they'll be with them because they have a house in LA, and then they play 2 games against the Clippers and the Lakers at Crypto. Then Dennis will have his family at their house out in LA at that time. No, I'm fully expecting them to put a little bit of roots here in Toronto. They'll have a place and they'll be living here during the season so Dennis can be around his family as much as possible. Because remember, half the time he's going to be in Toronto still. So I fully expect Ellen and Junior and the kids to be here. And we're going to see great YouTube content. I'm excited to see what Ellen Schroeder does as far as filming things around the city. They love taking the kids to fun activities, and Toronto is just rife with amazing things for young kids to go do, like the aquarium, so many different things to go do. So we're going to probably see cool content of Ellen Schroeder with the Schroeder kids doing fun stuff around Toronto in the coming months. So yeah, she's going to be here. They're going to be here. Watch, they'll be here. I can see her being a superstar here in the city herself with her vibe and personality. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how, in some ways she's getting notoriety as Dennis moves around the league. I didn't know about her until we got Dennis, and then we got to watch his wife's channel. So she's got a lot of LA fans, obviously. She's got a lot of German fans. We got some fans from probably Atlanta also. So there's Oklahoma City. We'll have to see how this changes their lifestyle. I want them to change their intros to their YouTube channels to get that LA stuff out there. Put a nice big CN Tower in there and put some Toronto scenery in there and put Toronto across there, Dennis, on your YouTube drops instead of Los Angeles. Because I think the home base will be in Toronto this year. And they've already said they're bringing him here. Junior, you're going to Toronto is what he said to his son. Said, Junior, we're going to Toronto very soon. And then they may be on their way right now, actually. Monique is saying Dennis's brother Shayes and I are having a back and forth conversation right now, plus listening to you. Oh, crap. This is Monique, Raptors insider. Superfan Mo is talking to Dennis's older brother Shessen right now as we speak while we're on the stream. This is cool. She's always interacting with different people. Well, let's see, Mo. I want to see you get that picture with Dennis's older brother, this great skateboarder, Shessen Seka. That would be awesome to see that. I'm all about seeing that, Mo. Yeah, G saying that's Mo. That's awesome. Yeah, it's cool. Wayne saying load management is for the fans. A load of money is paid to watch teams with super talented players who might play or not. Players should have injury prevention protocols. Yeah, this is for the fans, and that's why I applaud it. And that's why players don't be mad at this. This is for the people that are your lifeblood, the people that pay you, the people that come, and you wouldn't have a league without us. So don't forget the whole system of this. You guys got to show up and do your job. It's like what people can get paid to not, you got to go and do the job. And I don't know. Anyway, Quick Take saying, yeah, that list is corny. It is a little corny and a little weird, but it is what the NBA has come up with. I'm not going to fight it. In some ways, it benefits us. Isaac saying, are NBA stars going to play 1-minute games now? That's another thing I'm wondering about. Are they going to say, okay, he suited up, he played, but we only play him for 1 minute? Is that part of the rules too? I mean, they may really need to fine tune exactly what these stipulations and rules are for. Because in some ways, yeah, they could get around it by just playing a guy for a minute, starting him at the jump ball and taking him immediately out, and then he sits. They could do this. And will the NBA be looking for that and coming down on that? Yeah. Omar is saying HGH, laugh out loud. Yeah, the HGH talk right now, I'm not really condemning people for it. We talked about it a lot in the last couple of days about the LeBron allegations. And a lot of us are just kind of saying, so what? He's gotten to this point at this point. If there's any impropriety or illegalness, I'm sure that he'll get in trouble for it. But otherwise, I'm not trying to take out LeBron James with a steroid claim. That seems silly to me. Seems really silly. Stargate saying, "Hey Lex, you know which player I believe is very interesting, and I can see being that type of player you mentioned, Paulo Banchero. Watch this kid's career very closely." I wonder what you mean, like as far as he doesn't try or he doesn't care, or he does. He's like really does care. I don't know. I don't know what you mean here. In some ways, I've seen a little bit of Paulo so far, and he's impressive. I mean, he's the rookie of the year last year. When in some ways, also, I feel like he's overhyped. There's a certain level of overhype about him. I don't know. We'll see how things go. In some ways, I'm not wishing him success, partly because I'm not a big fan of the Magic right now, and I kind of want them to be bad. So there's a part of it there. But elaborate what you mean that he might be what kind of player exactly. I don't see which. I've talked about a couple of different types of players that don't try or show up, or players that are like Siakam. There's like the Siakam side, and then there's the Kawhi side. Tell me who he's more like, Leonard or Siakam, and then I'll understand. Tom Duke saying, Mo talking to Dennis's brother. Exactly, Isaac. Minutes management will be a new thing. There you go. Tom Duke, so cool at Mo. Cowboy saying, yes, sir. You're the man, Tom. And what did I miss? G saying, the thing is with the minutes management, those stats will count in their overall stats. So if they play 5 minutes and score 2 points, it will bring their numbers down a lot. That's true, too. There could be a penalty for kind of doing a half-ass like appearance game. Yeah, your numbers go down in your stats across the board. So that's a very good point as far as maybe why they wouldn't want to do that. Isaac Campbell saying Nick Nurse be like load management. How about 47 minutes, Joel Embiid? Yeah, come here. I don't care if your your knee is broken, Joel. Get out there and run. I watched the most recent Rico Hines runs that was dropped this weekend, and I'm really sure that there's some sort of weird thing where they're not going to show the Raptors clips. The stuff with Scotty and Chris Boucher at Rico Hines runs this summer, I don't think we're going to get the light of day on it. And it could be partly because of the effect of last year with Rico Hines runs and Raptors. Maybe Masai and Bobby are like, we don't want our stuff on YouTube this year because of all the stuff that happened last year with us being so much on YouTube and expectations, and it kind of screwed us up. It could be also that Philadelphia and Nick Nurse are bitter, and they've told Rico to not put Raptors on blast or something like that. I don't know who it is exactly, but the Raptors percentage of content on Rico Hines runs is not coming out, and we're not going to see it. The most you're going to get is Norman Powell. Once again, former Raptor Norman Powell in the latest clip as a UCLA grad out there killing people, just torching people. And I see knucklehead Josh Christopher in this latest one, hanging all over the rim, dunking, stuff like that. He's a knucklehead, just like Kevin Porter Jr., but he's on the Clippers now. He's not on the Houston Rockets. Like, don't get me wrong. He is just as much of an idiot as Kevin Porter Jr. is. Maybe not in beating people up, but he's a problem person too. He's got a lot of talent. He's really good, but he is a knucklehead, and he is not allowed to come to Toronto in my book. I would never have Josh Christopher on our team up here. Well, Joel makes an appearance in the latest Rico Hines runs clip. He comes into the gym, big, goofy, walking in, but he's just like Giannis. He doesn't participate. He doesn't do anything but just sit there and watch everybody else playing. Well, because Rico's a Philadelphia coach, and there's a lot of Philadelphia players that have been there the whole time, like DeAnthony Melton, Ricky Council, Mo Bamba, Paul Reed, Jaden Springer. They've got a good contingency of Sixers players that have been there the whole time. Well, Joel went down there and sat at the sideline and watched them play. So you see his goofy ass in the latest Rico Hines runs, old dumbass Embiid, walking into the gym, hey, and then sitting down. And that's pretty much all it is. So, yeah, I'm wondering if we are ever going to get that good Raptors playoff at Rico Hines run this year. I don't think we will. If it hadn't come by now, I don't know if they are actually going to release it, because they're releasing the stuff right now that they just put out is from the last week of Rico runs. And they're talking about, well, we only have a couple more days. So there may be like one more clip come out from Rico Hines for this year. And none of it will be like centered around the Raptors or any of the stuff. We will not see Scotty at the Rico Hines runs and clips, I think. If it comes out eventually and we do finally see it, that's awesome. But I've given up on holding my breath for it. that I think that there's something weird that happened. Either it's Masai and Bobby saying, we don't want our stuff out there on your channel, Rico, or them being like, we don't want to put the Raptors on blast because we put them so heavy on blast last year that it started to seem like this was the Raptors Rico runs. And we don't want to do that. So I'm trying to figure this out. It's very, very weird. Very, very weird. But yeah, Joel is in the latest clip, just on the sidelines, though, looking goofy. Cowboys saying, I love this team from top to bottom. Coloco will be doing a lot of no, no, no. And my dark horse is Liberty. I think by the end of the preseason, he will get Raptors minutes. Javon Freeman Liberty will be interesting. We'll see what kind of things he can add to our team. I'll be very excited about it. Quick Takes is agreeing with Cowboy. Tom Duke saying, how does Temple fit in? 3-point shooter exclusively? He's not even, that's not really what he's known for in some ways. He's just a glue all around guy. In some ways, he's not really going to help us on the court. It's not, we did not get him for court stuff. We got him for locker room stuff. So if Garrett Temple plays 5 minutes the whole entire year, I don't care. I don't care if he plays at all. In some ways, I don't want him to play. I want him to sit on the bench and just be like a chaperone. I don't know if that's the right word. Just to be like a leader or like an old head kind of like for talking to. You know, he's such a good teammate. That's what we want him for. We want him to be there to help with these guys. If there's any kind of like weirdness from last year, well, Garrett Temple's supposed to be the antidote. And his stuff is all off court. I'm not wanting or expecting anything from him on the court. I seriously am not. If we do get stuff from him on the court, I'll be pleasantly surprised. But it's just extra added on top. It's not anything we're depending on or anything. In some ways, I don't want him eating up minutes for some of the young guys that could be better spent developing them instead. He's on his way out of the league, and he's really here to be a good citizen and a good leader and teach these guys how to be the right kind of pro. And otherwise, I don't really want to see him on the court. I'd rather see Thad play more than him. I'd rather see Otto play more than him. In some ways, I don't want Garrett Temple to hardly play at all this year. That he's getting paid. He's getting an NBA salary. He's on an NBA team. He's going to travel with them, but I don't know how much he's actually going to play. Monique is saying these Rico runs are becoming weak again. Shaking my head. W stream. Lex, keep at it. Yeah, I mean, there's just nobody we're that interested in seeing. In some ways, it's just like last year was just the best year of Rico runs, at least for Raptors fans. That was our peak, was last year. I don't know if we're going to ever get really awesome Rico runs like we did last year ever again. It could very well be because Nick told Rico, I don't want you putting them on. I hate Chris Boucher. Don't show him on your channel. Because we haven't seen Chris Boucher at Rico runs at all, other than pictures on Chris's Instagram, little snapshots of him working there. But we haven't seen Chris Boucher in a single one of the video clips on his channel. No, we have not. Quick Take saying, I like Paolo's game. So you like Paolo's game. Yeah, he's interesting. In some ways, I don't wish him well. He's the enemy. Cowboys saying the only problem that Darko has this season is who to play. We have so much talent. That's a good problem to have, Bradley. Yes, indeed. Trevor's saying, I'm about to go and have some breakfast and get ready for the game at 12. It will be 3 p.m. in Toronto. Yeah, he's going to a WNBA playoff game today. Las Vegas Aces versus Chicago Sky. Trevor, have fun at the game, Trevor J, and represent the Raptor Freaks in the right way at that game today and get loud out there. That's right. Top of Top saying, it seems like bad roster management if no trade is done for paying Thad $8 million and Temple $3 $11 million devoted to guys who won't play that much. That in particular, not playing much after the Scotty run in. Yeah, I don't think those are correlated to each other. Once again, I don't fault Thad at all for what happened with Scotty. It's Scotty's fault. If somebody is coming at you like that, there's a reason. Thad Young's been in this league for too long. And in some ways, this is why Garrett Temple's on our team. Because now, instead of, if Scotty's not going to listen to just Thad, well, he'll have Garrett in his ear also. So I get this. Some people think this is bad management, but I don't think it is. They really want to make sure this problem is taken care of. And Thaddeus wasn't enough last year. So in some ways, when you add more people to the tribe that are certain voices, well, persuasion's easier because there's not just one person saying it. If there's a couple of them saying it, well, then maybe people will get the message. And that's why I love Garrett Temple being on this team. Even though I just described, I don't care if he plays or not. Some people can say this is a waste, but I don't think so. This is insurance. And this is important. After the season we had and the waste of time we did last year, paying a little extra money to have Garrett Temple on this team is smart because in some ways that is insurance to try and stop the vibes from going wrong this year. And I'm all about it. In some ways, I could see trading Thad all of a sudden before the season and it making sense. I don't get hung up on money. Y'all can say, oh, $11 million for this is messed up. There's other teams in this league spending money way worse and worse ways for like waste. So I'm not going to say this is a waste. If Garrett Temple's only $3 million, he's going to help us avoid some of the problems we had last year. That's great. In some ways, what we had to do with that is because of Fred. So don't get it twisted on that one either. In some ways, Fred leaving left a big void in our salary cap. We could afford to pay Thad his money and retain him. In some ways, we needed to do that at that moment. So what happened with Thad was very contingent on Fred. And Fred taking the bag and going to Houston left a big wide hole in our salary cap where we could still pay Thaddeus, and it's not a big deal. If Fred had stayed with us and taken a $30 million a year deal, we would have cut Thad at that point. So Thad's only on this team partly because Fred chose Houston, just so you know. And there was a void in our salary cap we needed to fill, much like Houston needed to fill with overpaying Dylan and Fred, is we had to keep filling in that void, and Thaddeus helped us with that. So in some ways, I don't see this as a problem. It may have looked real bad in old terms of the old money, $11 million to just that, but the money in the NBA is insane right now. And $11 million is not a huge part of your salary cap at this point. It really isn't. So I hope that kind of illuminates how I feel on this. I don't care. Give that $8 million. He's played great his whole entire career, and he deserves it to be in the league so long at this point. And if he can help us this year in any kind of way, I'm all about it. So I don't look at it that way. It looks like a big amount of money, and maybe it seems like it's a big chunk of our salary cap, but it really isn't if you really think about it. And you could be, oh, well, you could spend it in different ways, better ways. I don't know. I would debate this is a good way to spend it because this is insurance for having a healthy team with team camaraderie. And that's something that's really important we learned last year. Fun guy saying Rico did the same thing last year. There was a run with Steph Curry, Scotty, Pascal, and more Raptors, and that video never came out. Crazy. It could very well be specific things happen in that clip that aren't like attractive or good for that person. Maybe somebody got embarrassed. Maybe the teams have to be okay with, the Warriors have to be okay with the Curry part. The Raptors have to be okay with the Scotty and Pascal part. There may be a lot of vetting and important things that go into what Rico can release and what he can't that we don't totally understand. But yeah, there are secret Rico Hines runs tapes that nobody sees and they don't get posted on YouTube for sure. Yeah, Nameless say, what's up, ladies? What's up, Nameless? Good to see you. Monique is saying, hey, Lex, I can try and keep up with the birthday calendar, but I may be a day behind. Go Raptors. You know what, Mo? Listen, if you feel like taking this on, it's really kind of easy in some ways. Basically, go through our whole entire roster first and just write in each one of their birthdays on the calendar. And then if you want to go to other levels like the coaches or the front office staff or the announcers, then you could do that also. It's really just a research thing. And it's basically you'll Google these people and write down their birth dates in a calendar. And we can have like a general around the year calendar. Like we know Dennis's birthday was 2 days ago. That'd be great. Scotty's birthday is the beginning of August. OG's birthday is the same birthday as David Saborin's. When we know when these birthdays kind of happen around the year, we may get used to the rhythm of some of them. It's just that I'm so bad with this. In some ways, I could do the busy work and just do this and get this done this afternoon. But it would take a couple hours. And in some ways, I don't mind doing it. But if you're interested in doing this project, it's a very easy project. You just need to put in the research on Wikipedia, write in the dates, and then we can be ahead of it. And like if you see them coming up for the week, you could be kind of like our birthday person. In the morning, you say, hey, guys, we got to say happy birthday to Christian Coloco today. And boom, we can do it that way. Because sometimes I feel like we're getting birthdays for people after the fact. And I'm like, oh, man, I didn't know this was somebody's birthday today. So it could be a fun thing for you, too, because you can announce it and say, hey, guys, we need to say happy birthday to Ivo Semenovic because it's his birthday today or something like that, But don't do it if you don't have enough time and you don't feel like doing it. I will eventually start doing it or getting around to it. It's just in some ways my workload is already kind of heavy with different things that I'm doing. But I'd love somebody to do it. And if you want to do it, I would love for you to take that responsibility and be the birthday person as far as telling us when birthdays are happening. It could even be that we get the birthdays of the Raptor freaks and we understand when those are on the calendar too. We just got to figure out who the people are and we want to keep track of all the birthdays and stuff. It'd be awesome if you could, Mo. It would be really a great help, but no pressure either way. If you do it or you don't, so I'll probably do it at some point. So let's see. All right, let's keep going. Wayne's saying, what's the latest on Otto Porter Jr.? I hear he's in good shape. I don't know. I mean, we saw him in the middle of the summer wearing Raptors gear, show up and kind of work out with the guys and around the team, kind of showing the nod. Yeah, I still want to be around and be on y'all's team, but I have no idea. I've heard a little bit of grumblings that it's really a choice between him and Jeffrey Dowtin Jr. for this year. That if we're going to keep Jeff, we might have to cut Otto. Some people may say, well, why don't we just cut Thad instead? I don't know what they're going to do. I really, really don't know what they're going to do. There is a battle where there's one spot and there's a couple people that are trying to get it. There's going to be one person that's on the outside looking in at the end of training camp that won't make the Raptors. So I don't know what it could be. I've speculated it could be Jeffrey Dowtin Jr. is the number one, probably likely, just because he's the one without the guaranteed contract. But if Jeff kicks butt in training camp, does really well, they could turn around and waive Otto. Or they could waive that. I don't know. Or even Malachi. I don't know who's in trouble, who's in the bubble, who could actually be on the outside looking in at the end of this whole process. But I say Otto, Thaddeus, Malachi, Jeffrey, none of them should feel safe. None of them. Because in some ways it could be different. Yeah. Jaden Springer. Yeah, Jaden Springer. Yeah, he was there. Jaden Springer. Did I say somebody else's name? Fiercely saying, I've been subscribed from the Rico Hines channel. Wow. And she's like going there trying to see Raptor stuff and it just ain't happening. So she's like, all right, Rico, goodbye. She saw too many Philadelphia logos and Nick Nurse hiding in the corner and Joel Embiid stumbled into the gym. So she's like, yeah, enough of this. It's Sixers now. Fun guy saying, damn, bro, you'd rather see Thad play than a three-point sniper like Garrett Temple? That's crazy, bro. Temple still brings amazing shooting and commands attention because of that. He's a sniper. I didn't know that about him. He's not notorious as a sniper to me. I've always looked at him as like a multi-purpose kind of jackknife kind of player that can like rebound and play decent defense. He's not a super scorer, but also his numbers are really anemic. It's not like this man scores a lot. Now, if he's a good shooter and a good three-point shooter, a little bit like Otto Porter Light, okay. But in some ways, I've never known Garrett Temple for being like a great three-point shooter, like you're saying. Are you being sarcastic? I don't know. I can't tell sarcasm through text on a chat. So listen, I would rather play Thad just because of his time accrued with our team and like more bonding and chemistry. Garrett's a new guy. I don't know how much he's already accumulated like good work with OG and Scotty and Pascal and stuff. So I mean, whatever. They're in some ways they're similar players. They're at the same place, and they're kind of like both kind of like aged out a little bit at this point. Whatever we get is locker room stuff from those guys. Honestly, seriously. All right, Stargate saying in reference to Paulo, the Siakam side. Okay, you see him being more like Siakam, working hard and being a good pro. Don't see him being overhyped at all. The league is not pushing him like they do Zion or Ja Morant, but I see him as a potential. Not on the Magic though. So you think after his rookie contract, he gets somewhere else, then boom, he might explode as a star in the league. I wonder if it's the ties or it's because of his name. Sometimes the name is weird. Like they really do want to push American stars. Now Paulo's American. He played for Team USA, but in some ways his name sounds foreign, and he has Italian ties. I don't know. It's really weird why they pick certain people to push and why they don't. I think that he is getting a push though. He's won Rookie of the Year, and they are putting more shine. And he got chosen to be on Team USA. So in some ways, I don't think they're slighting him. You think he's a hard worker and he's going to be good? Well, we'll see. In some ways, I'm not wishing that for him because I'm a hater. But if you guys think he's going to be that kind of person, hey, we'll see. We'll see down the road. Top saying $3 million is a lot to pay to Temple as a babysitter. Could have had cheaper vets regardless of position. Already have poor Otto. Well, Otto's not going to be the same thing that Garrett does. Otto left. the team when his toe was messed up. He didn't stick around to try and help with the locker room when things went south with Nick last year. So Otto's useless in this department. Otto Porter may be a vet in the old head, but he's not going to step up and be a leader like a Garrett will be. So there's a difference in that. And that's part of it. Now, Otto will be useful if he's a great three-point shooter once again and a fairly good defender also. His championship experience and his veteran leadership in some ways will be helpful, but not in the he's not a veteran leader in the way for like keeping the peace and keeping guys together like we needed last year, obviously, because he was on our team last year, but he disappeared. He got hurt and he went home and he helped his wife with a newborn baby. And he wasn't there to help in the way that we needed him to last year. So in some ways, I could say we should cut him just for that, because we may have needed him to help us during the dumpster fire last year. So yeah, it's a different thing. Like, it's not a babysitter per se. It's more that Garrett Temple is the prototype great NBA pro as far as a teammate, how he conducts himself, how he carries himself, how he travels with the team. And what they're hoping is that Garrett can be a resource to teach some of the younger Raptors how to be a more mature pro and be more professional. I think that is very much the biggest intention with him. Now you say, well, Thad could have done that with him. Well, in some ways, Thad is not very good at this for some reason. I don't know why. He's good at playing the NBA for a long, long time. But in some ways, Thad is not exactly the locker room leader in this kind of way that Garrett Temple is. So he is, I know we can just say, oh, they're three old guys and they're the same, but they're not. The three of them are very different in different ways: Otto, Thaddeus, and Garrett. And Garrett really is that teammate glue guy that's going to be like, hey, you got a problem with him? You need to talk to him right now. And he'll get in the middle of it. And in some ways, it's okay for him to do that because he's not so central. And if some people hate him on that team, it's not going to be that big a deal if he's kind of being that stubborn old head vet, kind of telling people, you can get your shit together and stop acting like this, youngster. You'll be out of the league in 2 years if you keep doing what you're doing. You need to listen to me. You know, it may sound better coming from Garrett Temple. Otto's not there. And Thaddeus, in some ways, we saw him trying to do it with Scott, but it looked like it wasn't getting the message through. I don't know. I still blame Scotty for that situation. I know a lot of people say, well, it's Thad's fault. That's not Thad's fault. He would not do that if it wasn't warranted. Let's just put it that way. And it was an issue between Scotty and Gary Trent Jr. that was actually the thing that started. There was something that Scotty said to Gary that wasn't right, and Thaddeus was setting him straight on it. You don't talk to your teammates like that, is basically what was happening in that situation. I think Scotty dissed Gary or said something that was insensitive or not team building, and Thaddeus was on his case for it, is what it seemed like. So let's see. Cowboys got, yes, sir, NBA quick takes. Bam, bam. Me and Mo on blast. Fun guy saying, I see it another way, bro. I see the Raptors realize that Thad isn't the right vet. Guy doesn't even play to be an example. More vets is better. And to be honest, that is probably going to be traded, in all honesty. You know, I'm not going to disagree with Fun Guy on this. In some ways, he very much is in danger for being included in a trade as filler for a salary. That $8 million can go a long way to helping make a trade evened up and be in the right way. I won't disagree with this. I think you're exactly right. And that may be part of it, is that in some ways we need to have some old head leadership around the team. And this frees us up just in case we do want to pull a trigger with Thad's name involved in the package. Garrett is still here. So yeah, I agree with you in a lot of ways on this. I think that you're right. In some ways, Thaddeus has not been the right vet for this kind of stuff as far as things. Last year was a failure. It was a failure on Nick and on the old head leadership of the team also. And Thaddeus was that guy. In some ways, he was ineffective. In some ways, he got in his own head with not playing, which Nick did. It wasn't the management that told him to do that. Nick did some weird thing to Thaddeus, and Thaddeus was pissed. And then he couldn't be a leader because he was in his own head with his own things. And then Nick was just like, yeah, sabotaging our team. So basically, in some ways, he could have caused a rift on purpose with Thaddeus. And that caused all of this dissension on the team because the guys respected Thad. And they're like, why is he treating our old head like this? I hate Nick Nurse. And then all of a sudden, some of the players turned on Nick Nurse because there was a rift between Thaddeus and him because he wouldn't play him to get his quota to make an extra $150,000 or $500,000. Actually, it was like $500,000 that he would have gotten if he had played over 60 games. Well, Nick stopped playing him in the last part of the season, and the players all saw it and knew it. And that was part of the degeneration of the players' faith in Nick Nurse, was they saw him freezing out that so he wouldn't make money. Yeah, that's the easy way to see what happened there. You don't have to Brian Winders that to see that. Well, why is Thaddeus all of a sudden just cut dry? And it had nothing to do with him fighting with Scotty. It had more to do with Nick just had control and he didn't play him, and then he didn't get money because of it. The front office said they wanted to pay Thaddeus that $500,000. And Nick, it was Nick's choice not to play him. It wasn't them telling Nick not to play him because they were trying to be cheap. They said play Thaddeus. They were mystified why he didn't play also at the end of the season. That's what Masai and Bobby said. That they didn't understand why he didn't let Thaddeus get his extra $500,000 for making his quota of games last year. So it's weird what happened last year. Nick was the epicenter for sure. Monique's giving me the cutoff, and I'm at 5 minutes till 2 hours. Yikes. Top saying we have a lot of players signed, but I'd rather have the money available to sign better talent if some of the current backups don't produce. Flexibility is crucial. Well, we do very much value flexibility as a franchise, and we're very good with it. In fact, our flexibility is very, very good. So don't count this out. We have very good tradable assets, and our flexibility and our ability to go in different directions is still very, very good. Now, we have to fill roster spots for our 21-man training camp roster. And this is just part of the process here. People get cut. People don't get paid. Things happen. Some are guaranteed, some are not. In some ways, don't get hung up on the money, top of top. In some ways, I understand. You're worried about flexibility and being able to go get whoever and whatever. Well, some of it's not realistic. Some people are like, oh, well, if we didn't have Garrett Temple and Thaddeus tied up with $11 million, we could have turned around and got this player and he would have been better in this spot. Let's not question the front office. Let's just let them do what they're doing. And if it's good, it's good. If it isn't, well, then we can critique it later and say, well, maybe it wasn't a good idea to have all these old heads tied up with $11 million like that between Garrett Temple and Thad Young. But I don't know. I think we're actually very flexible. We're one of the most flexible teams in the league in our position with the cap and our assets and the ability for us to do things. You realize that part of the reason why we're in all the ESPN trade talks and rumors is because we actually realistically can do trades, and most teams can't. So in some ways, Masai and Bobby have worked with the utmost flexibility with what they're doing, and what they continue to do is still that. So Cowboys saying Scotty Barnes will be the face of the NBA when LeBron retires. I hope so. I love that, and I'd like it to be here in Canada. Cowboys saying champions, 905 champions, we the North. That's right, Raptors champions. 905 champions, Toronto Raptors, NBA champions 2024. Let's go. Let's go. Speaking into existence. I'll say it every morning, twice. And when I get up, Toronto Raptors, NBA champions 2024. I love it. I'm going to say it. Fun guy saying he shot 35% over a 13-year career. That's crazy. It means he probably has several 40% three-point shooting seasons probably. Listen, I will be like Shaq and say, I will have to apologize. I'm not familiar with your game. Because in some ways, Garrett Temple's never been on my radar as being like, oh, one of the greatest three-point shooters in the league. If he comes in and he does this, that's great. But as I said, that's gravy on top for what his real purpose on the team is. Cowboys saying there's no waste man on this roster. Trust in Masai. There you go. He's got everybody's face on blast. OG, Dennis, Pascal, Scotty, Jakob, Monique. Everyone have a blessed day. Top saying, I thought that's why Thad's $8 million got guaranteed to be traded. That's why I'm confused he's still here. It may have been a trade that fell through or one still in the works. Well, he's definitely in the trade talks with Portland. If we are trying to get Dame Lillard, Thaddeus will be going to the Trailblazers with whoever we trade with him. That's what I'm saying. He'll make up some of the money to even out the sides if we do a big trade. But once again, Masai and Bobby aren't pulling trades just to pull trades. It has to be the right one, and it has to be good for us. It can't be just to try and help somebody out, like get Harden out of there or Lillard out of there or something like that. It has to make sense. But Thaddeus is definitely in the trade conversations as part of the salary filler to help with whatever is going on. Boucher is also in that Portland trade, also that has been speculated to get Lillard here. So, yeah, I mean, Thad was signed this contract a couple years ago. And this is just the amount that he's supposed to get at this year. So it's not like this amount being 8 million was negotiable. This was all figured out a couple years ago. And in some ways, maybe Masai and Bobby didn't think that his contract would get to this point, that they may have traded him before this. But because of circumstances, he has survived and stayed on our team. So once again, we're just gonna have to see where they go from here. Don't be surprised if Thaddeus does get traded this year still, but don't hold your breath because it may not happen also. So we'll have to see. We'll just have to see. Fun guy saying, I agree, Lex, but man, playing Thad 60 games seemed like an impossible mission. No, he was ready. He could have played. They very much sat him out for the last 20 games. He could have played in any one of those games. He was only a few games short, too. And in some ways, I could hear it from Shakina on Twitter that they were really pissed about this. Like they were talking about it a lot on the down low and code on Twitter about him getting the DMPs and missing out on this incentive in his contract. So it was really dirty pool and messed up in some ways. And part of the reason why there was bad feelings around the team was how Nick benched Thad at the end of the year. It really is. I can tell those guys are like about making money and they want to see each other get paid. Well, they see their coach holding out a player to punish them or hurt them financially. They're like, I don't like this coach anymore. In some ways, on the down low, I could see that. Wayne Strainer saying, if we put season failures on Nurse and Thad, then front office is also to blame. And Masai admitted to that. Kindly please stop watching players' incomes. We know nothing about the business side. Yeah, in some ways, this is the thing. Obviously, it's an extra $500,000. It's a lot of money. In some ways, he may have been counting on it, and it may have been like something like, oh man, they're not going to come through on this. And it could hurt. Like it could be a big sizable chunk of what they were expecting. I don't know. There was something real fishy about it. We all knew about this thing about Thad's contract. And it was all very public and out and open. And the way that it didn't happen for him was very much in Nick's control. They both have said, Masai and Bobby have said, that Nick was the one who decided not to play Thad at the end of the year. They did not tell him not to play him so he'd miss out on his money. They asked him straight up. It's like, did Nick not play him because y'all told him? And he said, no, we never ever told Nick to do that. He did that on his own. And it may be scapegoating. Maybe they are lying. I don't think so. I trust them. I don't understand why they do that to him. And if the players saw it and they saw it from the inside, they're probably like, fuck Nick Nurse for punishing punishing Thad like that. So I know that the Masai's taking blame. And you know where he takes blame, though, is that he didn't pay enough attention close enough on the team. He kind of let Nick just do his thing. And he's blaming himself for not being on top of the head coach as closely as he should have been. That he let Nick do his thing independently, and it went haywire, went off the rails. And that was the thing that Masai learned that he did, and he fucked up, is that I was not hands-on enough with our coach and staying up on what's happening day to day with this team. I kind of just let him do his thing. Well, I'm not doing that anymore. Darko's going to have Masai breathing down his neck. Darko's going to have Masai around him, helping him and questioning what he's doing. Nick didn't have that. In some ways, Nick had autonomy besides Masai because he trusted him. Well, he lost that trust last year. And that's why Masai said he made a mistake last year, is because he didn't keep up on Nick close enough, and he should have. So that's what he actually said when he said that they made mistakes this year, is that he said he should have been on top of him more. And we can say moves or mistakes or all that bullshit. Being a GM in the NBA, you're going to make a certain percentage of mistakes and successes. And once again, I'll take the track record of Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster against any other NBA executive. And it's saying that their success percentage is way higher than failure. So we can be critical of moves that didn't make sense, or this Garrett Temple thing, or Thad Young still being on our roster, getting paid $8 million. But in some ways, that stuff is just the normal GM stuff. And there's other GMs out there doing way worse jobs with that kind of stuff and managing than ours, is what I'll say. Fun guy saying, no, Thad is so bad that Nick was in the right. No way you play Thad 60 games. He was so horrible. I had never seen old age play such a factor as it did for Thad. I wouldn't have played him. I get that to a degree, but also I don't. Because in some ways near the end of the season, there were moments where I was like, he needs to play Thad right now. And he could have. There were places he could have stuck him in there somehow, some way. It was vindictive what he did to him. And you could tell the feelings were bad. Like Thad was frowning and he was upset. He's not keeping himself up and trying to play. I know that it seems like there was a drop off with this play. Sure, he shouldn't have been playing center last year. Them playing him at defensive center was a big mistake. But he still had adequate skills to help us in certain areas. And when we were load managing people at the end of the season, there were minutes that he could have eaten up. He could have shown up and gone in just for a couple of games for like 5 minutes, and it would have made his quota. So this is bullshit. This is absolute bullshit. You can say that, but in some ways, we needed his veteran presence in some games near the end of the season just for like stability. And that was one of the things we valued him for in the last couple of years. As far as if things are a little awry or they're not totally under control, well, Thaddeus goes out there, he calms things down. And there were definitely situations at the end of the season where Nick could have put him in to help with that at certain parts. But besides the fact that his game has dropped off a little bit physically because of his age, I mean, I get it. He's not actually as dropped off as you think he is. In some ways, he didn't get the chance to show things at the end of the year. Tom saying it was weird and petty if Nick actually did do it. Yeah, it's so cloudy and mystifying, but it was definitely a factor in some of the problems with the team because Thaddeus was such a jubilant, kind of smiley, happy force around the team. His energy was so bad in the last part of the season. He looked like he wanted to kill people, and that's not normal for Thad's character. Trust me. That is not normal for him. He's been in this league for so long. He's a happy-go-lucky, nice, positive, good person. When you see that dark energy around Thad, you got to wonder something's wrong. And I don't blame Thaddeus because he's been such a consistent, good character his whole 17 years in the league that the problem's with some other people around him and not him. He's a good citizen. He's taken what he's been given. He's survived in the league this long. So to see him that upset, it really spoke a lot to me. Really did. G saying teams need to spend a certain amount or they do not receive revenue sharing, and half the teams in the league depend on it. It's complicated, and owners way below the cap were enriching themselves from this. Yeah, that is part of the reason why we had to keep that on, is because that hole opened up with Fred not taking his spot and going somewhere else. And that's why they overpaid him in Houston. And that's why we got to keep that on the books, is to keep the minimums for the certain things with the revenue sharing that G's describing right here. There. Wayne saying that was not a bad player on the court. His top of the key plays with Chris were genius and worked most of the time. That is worth every penny. There you go. Wayne Strainer is standing up for him. And I'm going to give Wayne a dunk for that. Because, like, honestly, that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be right there. Stand up for your Raptors. Wayne Strainer getting a dunk for standing up for him. I think that's true in small doses, and don't let him guard the 5 on the other side. He needs to play power forward or small forward on defense, but don't let him try and guard the 5, because that's a bad thing to do. Precious is way better at guarding that 5 than Thaddeus. Thad has some useful things to him. We'll see how much he comes back and what kind of shape he's in, and we'll also have to see if he is thrown into a trade somehow, some way also. There's a lot of different outcomes that could happen with this. All right, let's just go over real quick. Once again, the NBA has decided they are making a policy against resting players in certain ways, superstar players. Fortunately, the Raptors are not good enough to have more than one superstar. So this is actually a case where the Raptors are benefiting from the slights of the NBA perception of our team. That OG is not a superstar, neither is Scotty. This is a good thing. And Pascal's our only superstar. And in some ways, for this rule to really affect you, is that you have to have 2 of them. So there's a lot of other teams that are going to have to deal with this new rule in ways that are going to be difficult than us. So, hey, what's to not like about it? They going to get these superstar players off their ass and into games and playing more often? I'm all about it. So kudos to you, Adam Silver, for at least trying to do something about it. Even if your rule may be unfair and it may not last for long. We'll see this experiment this season. We'll see how it goes. But you already had to bow down to the king and make an allowance for him, LeBron. There you go. But in short, this resting policy should not affect the Toronto Raptors in any kind of way. Hardly. If it does, well, we'll have to see this case, the specific case, and see what the ruling is. But it'll be fun to see how this gets done this whole entire season. All right, y'all. I'll be back tomorrow for Monday Moment, 9:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Every day, you know I'm here. And now I'm back at my house. So you can see the old familiar walls for right now for a few days. All right, Cowboys saying true to Wayne and dap to Cowboy and everybody else on the way out. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Raptor Freak channel, Logical Raptors Fanatic, Gubstown Clank, To The Point, and of course our good friend NBA Quick Takes. And I'll be back tomorrow. And join if you want the membership. And once again, y'all, if y'all want to join our Raptor Freak Yahoo Fantasy League, I just put the link in there. An invitation, just click on that link and you can get a fantasy basketball team for this season coming up and play. There are prizes. Commissioner Trevor J is sending me them in the mail. I got this box right here. I'm not even sure what's in it. I haven't opened it up, but I think it's another trophy or a ring or something like that. But yeah, definitely, if you want to play fantasy sports, join our league. All right, y'all, thanks for watching, and let's go Raptors.